conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates.
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The United States on the brink of joining Israel in the war against Iran.
White House insiders reveal the president could give the go-ahead for American strikes in Iran within hours.
It's after another night of strikes between Israel and Iran.
President Trump issues an ultimatum to Iran: surrender unconditionally or pay the price.
Countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas. Here's what the Prime Minister told our very own Christopher Hope.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
The G7 summit in Canada wraps up after world leaders forged on, despite Donald Trump's early exit.
The inflation figures for May will be released at 7 a.m. Stay tuned to find out if it's down or up from April's 3.5%.
A sweeping majority of MPs vote to decriminalise abortion in England and Wales in the biggest shake-up to reproductive rights for 60 years.
King Charles and Queen Camilla lead the carriage procession as Ascot begins day 2 today.
And should under-30s toughen up? Turns out Gen Z are spending hundreds of pounds a month on things such as skincare and protein shakes. Guess it's time they got their priorities in check.
Yes. And in sport this morning, just when you were missing the Premier League football, the fixtures for next season are released this morning. Katie Balter has spoken about the horrible abuse that she suffered online. And how about this one? Emma Raducanu will partner Carlos Alcaraz in the new US Open doubles tournament. I'll get the name right too.
There's a heatwave building in time for the weekend, but before that, today's looking, well, fine for most of us and very warm too. I'll have more info coming up.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
Good morning to you. I'm Ben Leo, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I'm laughing at that story about Gen Z. It's always Gen Z spending £200 a month on protein shakes and skincare because that's probably you.
I was just reading that tease then thinking, has somebody written this about me? Maybe more so the protein products and not skincare. I just wash my face, that's it.
I'd be the skincare. Do you spend £200 a month on skincare?
What do you think?
Can you not tell?
Yes!
Look at
Let's get a zoom in on Paul
just
Coy.
naturally beautiful.
You're glowing.
Not quite Gen Z, though, are you, Paul?
Not quite. I think I'm probably quite a few letters before then. Yeah, I am.
What generation are you?
I don't even know.
Boomer.
60... No, I'm not a boomer.
You can't call him a boomer.
I'll give you boomer.
Anyway.
Anyway.
With boomers?
No, boomer. Yeah, no,
What's the other one? What's the one
as
before
old as
that?
a boomer.
Gen X.
Gen X? Is that what? 67 I was born.
I think you're Gen X.
Do you think so?
I'm going to claim you as a Gen X.
OK, I'll take X.
We'll find that out.
OK.
But I think.
But what does that mean, then? That means I don't do any of that stuff.
No, I don't.
Is that what it
think
is?
you do, no.
Okay.
But do you know what it is? It's targeted marketing. When I go, I don't know about you, but when I go on any website, all the adverts pop up with all the clothes that I like, all of the makeup that I like, all of the hair products, and then I just buy it.
Do you know what's been hitting me on social media
sucker.
recently?
Yeah.
On the adverts, the targeted ads.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
is,
targeted ads.
Cosmetic surgeries for men, such as cheek fillers and all sorts of things.
What have you been looking at?
Well, nothing. I don't know why it targets me. I mean,
Do you know what's been hitting me on these things?
What?
Walking frames, slippers, and pile cream. I mean, I can't quite work out what it is. How do they know?
How do they know?
Someone else has been on my phone. Surely it can't be for me.
Anyway, let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Jazzy Moss, just on that very quickly, has said it's no wonder Gen Z can't buy their own house. Too many protein shakes.
Yeah, it's true, actually. Or maybe they're thinking there's no way I can get on the property ladder, so I might as well have nice skin.
Right, let's crack on with the serious stuff. Our top story of the day, Donald Trump is considering a direct strike on Iran after meeting with his military advisers overnight.
Well, the US president has said he knows the exact location of Iran's supreme leader and is calling for Iran's unconditional surrender.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon. Or we'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard, then the gloves are off so beautifully.
Well, that comes after the Prime Minister said there was no indication Donald Trump was about to join the conflict between Israel and Iran when they met at the G7 earlier this week.
Well, in a post on Truth Social, President Trump said he doesn't want to shoot missiles at civilians or involve American soldiers, but said that US patience is wearing thin.
Joining us now from Washington stateside is international journalist Sarah Firth. Sarah, good morning to you. Thanks for your company this morning. Just tell us, please, where you think the US sits on this front with Israel, Iran. There's so much speculation. President Trump blasting Emmanuel Macron yesterday for suggesting he was flying home early for ceasefire talks. It appears not. What's your take, please?
Yes, so Tuesday, what we saw was President Trump meeting in the White House in the Situation Room with his top national security advisors. Now, it's very clear from the tone. You mentioned some of what President Trump has put out there publicly, calling for Iran's unconditional surrender, saying that the United States know the whereabouts of the supreme leader of Iran, that he is changing his tone when it comes to weighing up this option for possible military involvement from the United States. Now, sources here in Washington have been telling me that he is warming to the idea of potential US military involvement, moving away slightly from that idea of possibly some kind of diplomatic solution. Now, you've got those strikes overnight between Iran and Israel continuing. And the president, pretty strong in his wording, right, calling for this unconditional surrender. And at one point being asked by journalists what he meant when he said that they were pushing for something better than a ceasefire. Well, OK, what would be better than a ceasefire? And he responded to that saying an end that was more definite than a ceasefire. Of course, we don't know at this point what exactly the president is going to decide. No firm decision has been made that we know of yet. Just as I said, sources reporting here in Washington that he is starting to change his tune over the possibility of US military involvement beyond what's already happening with the US shoring up Israel when it comes to defensive action for those retaliatory strikes from Iran. Of course, the big questions will then be if the United States does take more action and gets involved more directly in this situation, what would that mean in terms of repercussions, and what type of action would we be talking about? And a lot of discussion here in America around that at the moment too.
And Sarah, Trump was elected on an America First anti-war ticket, wasn't he? So how are Republican voters feeling about this as an idea? And what do you make of the school of thought that potentially this is all just a bluff to try and get Iran to the table and come to a deal?
Yes, Ellie, you're absolutely right on the fact that even within Trump's own party, you have got a split emerging. So you've had some Republicans already coming out and saying, look, this was a promise of no more forever wars. We don't want a repeat of Afghanistan. We don't want a repeat of Iraq. And this feels like a similar situation where they'd be tied up in military action with no definite end and the possibility of talks of regime change. That is not something his core party, the Make America Great Again MAGA movement, who are all about America first, that's not what they say they signed up for. You have, though, got some of the more hawkish members of President Trump's party, the likes of Ted Cruz, coming out and defending the action, defending President Trump come what may. A lot of feeling that Iran is clearly weakened, and President Trump has, in fairness, said repeatedly that he does not want to see and will not allow Iran to develop a nuclear weapon. So a sense perhaps that he will be persuaded with this argument that Israel has put forward that, look, America is at risk here too. Iran got dangerously close to developing a nuclear weapon and using that capability. And with this action that Israel has already taken, that the US could build on some of the action that's already been underway, with the Israelis having air superiority, for example, were the US to then come and join in more direct military action. But you've also heard the president talking about the focus being on military personnel in the region. If the US were to get more involved, a lot of the military sources that I'm talking to here say a big question about the military bases in Iraq, in places like Qatar, in Kuwait. We know that Iran has made those threats, and that is something that I know that the president and his team will be weighing very, very carefully when considering what further action to take.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Yeah, the split among Trump supporters is evident. I mean, he's aware of it as well. He attacked Tucker Carlson, I think it was yesterday morning, calling him, I mean, they're good friends, but calling him a kook, and said that maybe he should go back to network TV so people would start listening to what he says, despite the tens of millions who listen to Tucker online. So, yeah, interesting. Sarah Farr, thank you very much. Stateside, appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, the Prime Minister has said that countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas.
Yes, that's as Sir Keir Starmer spoke to our very own Christopher Hope about his plans to introduce a transactional immigration system where Britain doesn't bear the brunt.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
But after GB News revealed a record 17,000 small boat migrants have arrived so far this year, can the government be trusted with our borders?
Well, let's speak to former Conservative advisor Lauren McKevat, who joins us live in the studio. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning.
That's the question, then, is it? Can the government be trusted with our borders? What's your take?
Well, the 17,000 figure is, I think, about 50% up on where we were this time last year. And this is, you know, obviously we're coming up to a year of the new government saying that they were going to take a different approach, that the Rwanda deterrent scheme was going to go and that they were going to smash the gangs, which doesn't appear to have happened. Meanwhile, we also have the French, on the one hand, handing out life jackets and, on the other hand, firing tear gas at the same people, which is quite the split in approach to the same group of people in the same geographic area. But I wonder if this approach on visas is going to, you know, finally have some success, or if it's going to do anything at all to stop people getting on boats to begin with. A lot of people who are getting on boats are not coming from a point of origin recently where the negotiation would take place. You know, they've made a big journey across the Middle East or across Europe, across Africa to get to France in the first place. You know, a visa agreement with a country that, you know, from which they never would have qualified for a visa to come to the United Kingdom anyway may not be a deterrent. But if we can successfully get people back on planes to go home, perhaps that will be a deterrent. But maybe they'll still make the hazardous trip across Europe and try and go to another country within Europe instead. You know, realistically, the deterrents we've been using so far have not been working. And I'm not entirely certain that the criminal element who are putting people into boats are any closer to being smashed in the way the government wanted to do last year.
Well, the government's plan for smashing the gangs appears to be working closer with Europe. As you've just referenced, front page of the Times today, talking about the French authorities being witnessed giving life jackets out to Channel migrants who are trying to cross the Channel. So do you think it's time that we change tack? Because we're giving millions of pounds to the French and it's not working.
It doesn't appear to be. And, you know, earlier in the summer we had this problem where the French were patrolling certain sections of their coastline in the they had a shallow water loophole then where they weren't patrolling those sections of the coastline, and people were able to get into boats in that bit instead. There seems to be a fairly haphazard policing approach from the French. But on the front page of the Times we also have, you know, an interesting sort of aside in the same story that Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary, is in Strasbourg today, talking about what was unthinkable even for, you know, 50% of the Conservative Party leadership candidates last autumn. Only Tom Tugendhat and Robert Jen were really talking about this, which is the concept of significant reform of the European Convention on Human Rights, because that is a big piece of legislation that the United Kingdom in particular, because of our common legal system, is struggling with in relation to deporting people. It's where we get these silly stories about, you know, people who've been convicted of crimes, but they can't go home because they'd be stoned for that very same crime at home.
Yeah.
You know, reform of ECHR was unthinkable to 50% of the leadership candidates last year in the Conservative Party, and now even the Labour Party are going to Strasbourg and having this conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a gimmick. There's no chance in hell. Keir Starmer, a man of the law who prioritises international law over the sovereignty of Britain, and indeed his mate Lord Hermer, the Attorney General,
and Philip Sands on the Chagos Island.
Lord Hermer thinks the very concept of discussing leaving the ECHR is akin to Nazi Germany.
But talking about evolving the law is something that potentially he could back.
What, reforming it?
Yeah.
Reforming, evolving.
Yeah, reform of ECHR has been, you know, floated by several people. You know, again, I go back to Tom Tugendhat, who, to declare an interest, I worked for last year on the leadership campaign, who wrote a great article, or great paper for Policy Exchange years ago called The Fog of War, which talked about ECHR reform. This is something that has been knocked around in Westminster for a while, for several years, and it's hard, but I think not impossible to do. But there has to come with the big stick of, well, if there is no reform, departure is on the table. And I don't know that Labour are actually putting forward that big stick.
Just one very quick question, yes or no. Do you think the Tories or Labour want to stop the boats? Genuinely?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that this is a politically toxic problem for both the major parties in Parliament, and it's why reform are polling so well. And the failure to get to grips with it is a significant political problem for both of them.
Yeah.
And it's an expensive problem.
Yeah.
And a drain on resources.
I don't know, it's just that the level of incompetence just seems extraordinary.
Well,
It's
don't,
like-
don't
it
confuse
gets-
incompetence with willingness.
Well, it gets ordinary people asking questions. It's kind of like, you know, you see something so inane over and over again, and lack of action, and people start asking questions. It's like, do you actually want to solve this
Well, I mean, the
problem
good
or
news
not?
is that this is a really big indicator that all those deep state conspiracy theories are in fact bunkum, because the government realistically can't run a bath. And everyone should be pretty comfortable about that, because it means that they can't be covering up aliens on the grounds that no group of people that big could keep a secret or do anything correct to begin with. So.
OK. Lauren McKevitt, we'll see you in the next hour.
See you
Thank you
next
very
hour.
much.
Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, it's going to be quite balmy, isn't it, from here on? It was quite hot yesterday.
Oh, stunning. Yeah, we can't complain.
Beautiful
It'll
day.
last for a few days and then we'll be back to normal.
I think the big day is Friday, 28 degrees, well, at least in the southeast of England, 25 maybe, Midlands and the north.
Oh, very nice. I've heard rumours of 33 degrees this weekend.
Oh, sounds good to me.
I'm going to a wedding as well.
Nice.
Stunning. Perfect.
Make sure you take a fan.
Anyway, you barely need a weather report because we've just done it for you,
Sorry.
but here are all the details with Alex Burkill.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere, because again in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night, some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more cloud still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We got any nice emails?
Yeah, we've got a few. It's mostly on the small boat migrants. Oh, inflation. I'll be gobsmacked if inflation is down. Went shopping yesterday, all the prices up. Andy says 17,000 crossed the channel. Labour selling their children out. Note, the Tories weren't much better. It's a tragedy of epic proportions. And Helen said, good morning all. Oh, Helen, this is a very sad, you'll say.
Oh, we need to be happier.
I hope we can cheer you up. You said, good morning all. What a mess our world is in. I just want to sleep until it's safe to come out.
Oh.
Well, hopefully we can cheer you up this morning, Helen.
Hopefully we can. We'll try to. We'll endeavour to.
I will say, on a serious note, the news cycle is generally quite negative and depressing sometimes.
It's particularly bad at the moment.
Yes, but I believe strongly there's more good than bad in the world. I think most people have good intentions and life is worth living.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we just need to look after each other.
Yeah.
And look out for each other. And just try to see the happier side of things if we can.
Yeah, well said.
That leads us on very nicely, I think, to the sport. Paul Coit will make us smile, I'm sure, in the next few minutes, so do stay with us.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to breakfast. Now it's time for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
A very big warm welcome to you from St Michael's Church in New Haven. My name is Marcus Mack. One of the harshest punishments a human being can endure is ongoing, forced, solitary confinement. It's also possible to be free and still feel isolated and lonely. In the history of the world, we are more connected than we have ever been, and yet so many feel disconnected and lonely. The Christian faith teaches us that we are made in the image of God, which raises the question, what is God? In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 3, as Jesus is baptized, he saw the Spirit of God descending upon him and his Father's voice, who said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Within the one being of God, there is plurality, found in the three distinct persons of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. What we see is that God is not a solitary individual, but a divine community existing in love. The Father loves the Son loves the Father, and the Holy Spirit pours out that love in loving relationship. Being made in God's image, the need for relationships and community belonging is in our DNA. Jesus invites us into that loving community of God and into the loving community of the church to never be alone again.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That was Marcus Mack from St Michael's Church in New Haven in East Sussex.
I feel like we needed that as well.
Yeah.
After our comments on Your Say, saying the world feels very depressing at the moment. Gives us a bit of hope, doesn't it, the Daily Reflection?
Yeah, brilliant. Nice little segment.
Yeah.
Time to go through all the latest sports news with Paul Coytes, who's guaranteed to bring us a smile.
Afraid not. It's all miserable.
Okay.
They're terrible.
No, we need happy news. Did you hear the tease earlier? I said he's going to give us something to smile about. So
Yeah.
come on.
I got nothing.
Oh, no.
You know I have. Of course I do. You know, something to look forward to because...
good.
Ben, I'm sure you're like me, you're missing the Premier League. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks now. What are we doing without it? No?
Not really.
OK.
Arsenal haven't won anything in a while, so don't really care.
OK, well, look, there's always hope. There's always a new season to look forward to.
Yeah.
So at 9 o'clock this morning, the Premier League fixtures are released.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so at 9 o'clock.
Is it still the supercomputer?
Well, they often use this, don't they? They say, like they do it on quiz shows, they do it on, let's turn on the computer, which maybe 20, 30 years ago was, there's a computer involved. Now it means nothing. But there is a computer involved, obviously, but there are lots of factors that have to go into it. So apparently it takes around 6... I mean, how can it take 6 months? Surely you just put the details in and then it should come out. You'd be able to do that on your watch these days.
You'll know, I don't teach you how to suck eggs, but I think it's because of policing situations.
You teaching me how to suck eggs? You are, right? You are, right?
It's very early.
No, you're right. No, you're right. So there's a few things. It's a company called Atos, which are a French company, and they do it in Paris. Why they do it in Paris? Why they don't?
Oh, they outsource it.
They outsource the fixtures. And anyway, there's 380 fixtures in the Premier League. So the data, they work out, so there's the policing, which is right, which you mentioned. International windows is another one. European club games, because 9 clubs are going to be playing in Europe this year. Spurs, of course, are the champions of Europe, so I should mention.
Let's not forget that.
Almost got relegated, but yeah.
We don't say that bit out loud.
We don't. We're getting on to social media problems in a minute. Manchester United, Manchester City, obviously, one plays at home, one plays away, same as Spurs and Arsenal. Proximity. Teams must... Now, here's a couple of rules that maybe you didn't know, is that teams must play 3 home and 2 away in a 5-game span. So you can never have, 4 away games in one go. So that has to go in 2. No side is allowed to begin or end the season with 2 home or 2 away matches.
Oh, right.
There's another one. So there's loads of all these rules, and then it goes into the old big computer, and it...
That's quite interesting.
Coyte, this is very complicated.
It is very complicated.
I find it very interesting.
You know, well, thank you, Ben. But what's... and Ellie doesn't. But the thing... I don't know about you, but always seem that some games, it's like, well, we always play them at this time of the year. So I don't know whether that's just my imagination.
We always seem to get City for some reason at the start of the season, yeah.
And you know what's also funny is on social media is the amount of leaked... You always get this a couple of days before. We see who we're playing first game of the season. It's been leaked. Trust me, they're not leaked. Everything you'll see on social media is a load of rubbish. So as soon as 9 o'clock comes, I'll have the first Premier League fixtures for you. So I'll be able to tell you.
Great. Look forward to that.
Who will be playing?
Brilliant.
Right. Shall I tell you about David Coote?
Please do.
Now, David Coote...
Is this the ref?
This is the ref.
Is he the one that's delivering the every parcels?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I just say, before you start... Sorry, Paul.
I
didn't like that mail story on David Coote.
I didn't either.
Of him
the
delivering
every parcels. No, I didn't like
Fine,
it either.
good son story. He's been up to no good. It's an interesting story. But just leave the guy alone.
It's a man that's trying to make a living, and it's all that how the mighty fall. I just think it's just not nice.
No.
I didn't like it either. I mean, we look at what he's been through. I mean, it started with those videos, didn't it, quite a few months ago. There's the derogatory comments about Jurgen Klopp and discussed giving a yellow card to a player. Then a video emerged of him sniffing a certain white powder. I have no idea what that was. Then he came out and said he was gay, and then he said that he had a drug problem, he'd had to overcome it. Then the delivering parcels story that you mentioned. So now, talk about kick a man when he's down, he's now been charged by the FA. Do you know what for, though, for all of that? It's for the comments that he made about Jurgen Klopp.
What's the point?
I mean, what is the point? I mean, they've sacked him. He's not going to be working anymore. So what are you going to do to him now? Say, well, you can't actually watch any matches.
Bunch of jobs worth.
I know. So I've got to tell you, I feel sorry for the guy. I do.
And can we talk about British number 1, Emma Raducanu?
Yes. Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz will be playing mixed doubles together. I like this. So the US Open, what they've done, they've separated singles and doubles tournaments. And there was a lot of problem. It's like, well, you can't do this, and this is... It's just going to be bad for the doubles and nobody's going to be interested. They've actually done it the other way around. So really, mixed doubles, it will be a standalone event, 19th to the 20th of August. And the idea is that then it will attract bigger names to play mixed doubles, which is great, and it's another great event. So 16 teams, Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz will play together. Balticanu we've already had, so Alcacanu?
No, Radaraz.
Radaraz.
I've been working on it.
Hey, I like that.
It's good, isn't it? Radaraz.
Naomi Osaka and Nick Kyrgios, Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud, some great names. Jack Draper played with Zheng Quinen, and me and Ellie are playing together as well. We've entered as well.
Oh yeah, good luck.
Costello.
Very good.
Very exciting.
I wonder how Alcaraz and Raducanu hooked up. Are they friends?
I don't know, but I think Alcaraz called her because do you remember she dumped off Andy Murray when he was going to play at Wimbledon?
Well, that was
for the last, and that was a bit like
Judy Murray.
She wasn't happy about it. Yeah, you can't. You know, what have you done? You got rid of Andy. So if I'm Carlos, I'll be thinking, yeah, we'll see.
Well, Carlos could probably do it himself.
Yeah, he could probably
2v1.
Yeah.
Could be all right.
Thanks, Coity.
Costello.
Time now for our biggest cash giveaway to date. It could be yours, £54,321. It's the equivalent of having just over £1,000 a month in your bank account each week for a year. What would you do with £1,000 a week, Ellie?
Buy
protein shakes.
Lots of protein shakes and lots of skincare and a whole new wardrobe. What about you?
Probably just go on holiday.
Build an extension on your house?
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure you viewers at home have much better ideas, though, and you could do with it as well. £54,000. Here's all the details you need to win.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A483 southbound near Rosslana Krugog, resurfacing work has led to a road closure between 8 this evening and 6 tomorrow morning. At the Rest and Be Thankful on the A83, temporary traffic signals are in place, so please approach with caution and expect delays. In Wakefield, drivers on the M1 northbound at junction 40 should be aware of a road traffic collision, where one of the 2 lanes remains closed. This is expected to resolve by around 7:45 this morning. And on the trains, London North Western Railway is experiencing a reduced service between Bletchley and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
All right, still to come, we'll see what's making the news with Claire Muldoon and Norman Baker. There they are, bright and sprightly, ready for today's headlines. This is GB News Breakfast with Ben and Ellie.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Joining us to go through what's making the news headlines this morning is Claire Muldoon, the journalist and broadcaster, and the former Lib Dem Minister Norman Baker. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, guys. It's resplendent in mustard, Norman.
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard, very good.
It was
very
Norman
good.
in the green room with a coffee cup.
Very good.
But who was the victim?
Yeah, me.
Oh, no.
Claire, let's have a look at the Mail, shall we? Illegal migrants fuel the grooming gangs.
Well, this headline could be misleading, and it could be the strive for liberal, elite, lefty wokey-cokies to say they're not all illegal migrants that came over that did the Rochdale's child rapes. That's not what this is saying. What this is saying, when we tease through it, is even Casey, in her review, has said that the vast majority of those that perpetrated the child rapes are people, men born abroad and not domiciled in this country. That is the key. And even Casey said in her report, we need to get to grips with this. And Maggie Oliver has been saying for years that this is the case as well. This is not being right-wing. This is not being racist. The ability to call out facts for facts and tell people what the facts are. And in this case, it's the majority of unmitigated migration into this country that have perpetrated those awful, heinous crimes on our young women. And it has to be stopped.
Yeah, Norman, I mean, normal people with, just common sense have known for many years that illegal migration poses a risk to the women and girls of this country. Why does it take a report from Baroness Casey for the government to take note of that?
Well, I mean, let's just park illegal migration for a second and look at what's happening to people who are domiciled in this country, because that's what the issue is. People who have been here perhaps for some time and are guilty of these heinous crimes. And I came across some of this in the Home Office at the beginning of this in 2012, 2013, when I was looking at Rochdale in particular, and pretty horrified by what happened up there. It was a failure of local government, by the way, because all the council was controlled by one party. Every single council was one party. So no one one's prepared to rock the boat about this. In fact, what Baroness Casey says is no one's prepared to rock the boat anywhere, and a whole lot of people from
the
police...
Well, the boat should be rocked. It should be overturned and stopped from coming in.
Well, I mean, of course, those people should have taken action, and they didn't take action. It's the police, it's the politicians, you know, right the way through. Actually, what Baroness Casey says, quoted in the Mail here, is quite interesting, is that there was an overrepresentation of Asian men in cases of child sex exploitation, which we know about. But she also goes on to say, actually, this is not the case with child abuse. She says, if you look at the data for child abuse, it's white men. So I think we be quite careful what we say about this, because there was a structure up in some of these places like Rochdale, which was deeply unhelpful and vile, in fact, as far as children and girls were concerned. But there's also a wider problem in society, as there is in all societies, actually, about child abuse.
There was no white men found guilty of rape of children, Norman.
I'm
child abuse is
Baroness Casey.
She has made the differential between sexual exploitation and child abuse.
So have I. I've just done that myself. I've read out what she said.
You've read out what Baroness Casey said in her report.
That's right.
I'm saying child abuse would be something like smacking, hitting to excess, not necessarily the heinous sexual exploitation of the grooming gangs in the north of this country on white working-class girls. And there has been an absolute dereliction of duty in all of the services in this country, and it has to be stopped. And it stops, Norman, by letting unmitigated migration into this country with men that don't know better.
Well, I think we're agreeing, because I've already pointed out that we've got a situation where...
I felt you were minimising it a bit, Norman.
I'm certainly not minimising it. I'm not minimising it at all. I think it's horrific what's happened.
So you accept the rape gang scandal is explicitly linked to Pakistani communities, yes?
Yes, I mean, that's what she said in her report. And it's quite clear that...
Can I ask, Norman, as a Home Office Minister back in the coalition days, were you aware of what was going on? What was your remit?
I think it did actually come into my remit for a while, child sex exploitation. And I think I was aware it was beginning to be an issue. And as I said, I concentrated on Rochdale. I wasn't aware, and I don't think the Home Office was aware at the point, just how widespread it was and how deep it was.
Were you aware of the pack? Sorry, Ellie.
That's fine. I was about to say we're still not aware, are we? Which is why we need the National Inquiry.
No, we are going to find out something with the National Inquiry. The National Inquiry will take 3 years probably, which is going to cost a lot of money. But nevertheless, that's where we are. And it may throw up...
Those MPs, I can't remember the specific number of them, but I have spoken on this programme before about them. The ones that voted against having a national inquiry have to be held to account as well.
Well, it depends why they voted against it. Some people might have voted against it because they felt it was going to be delaying justice. They might have thought that. So I always look at the motives of people.
I think you're being very kind, actually, if that was the case. They should be doing what their constituents want on the grassroots and not instead of voting for political gain.
Yeah, and what the survivors want as well.
Exactly, the victims.
Yeah. Norman, Claire, do stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a second. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Portugal, Spain and France is going to continue to build for the next couple of days. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to high 30s, possibly 40 Celsius for a few places. And with that heat, there's a risk of some hefty showers across Portugal and Spain. Some thundery downpours are possible. A few showers also possible further east, affecting Italy and into Greece and Turkey. But actually, through the outlook period, as we go towards the weekend, it's looking largely sunny for many and staying pretty hot.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And Tom, look what I received this morning.
This is so sweet. Oh!
Isn't that cute? From one of our viewers and listeners. A little, I think it's homemade.
Shall I hold it up?
Yeah, you hold it up. And a little a little tiny matching hat as well, which is very cute. Goes up here. So there you go, a little matching hat. And also a lovely little blanket as well. Wow. This is from Judith from Leeds, who wrote me a lovely little letter, and to Patrick as well, wishing us well, saying that she loves watching our shows, and I hope we enjoy this little outfit. So there you go.
It's like your little baby is with us already.
So yes, Judith, I hope you're watching, because thank you very much indeed. It's really sweet of you to send that to me. It took a little while to get to us, but we've got it this morning, so that's so cute.
It's incredible craftsmanship, actually.
I'll make sure to take a little picture when the baby arrives.
Are you sure your baby isn't going to be French?
It's just something French around it. It's a good thing I like France, so there you go.
Oui, oui.
That's very cute indeed. I just thought I'd say thank you, because it was a really nice surprise this morning.
Yeah, no, it is actually really, really lovely. It does, I mean...
Does it bring a tear to your eye, Tom?
Well, we haven't really...
Feeling very emotional?
Well, I was going to say...
New life?
We haven't really mentioned, you know, your pregnancy in a little while. And
yeah, after the big reveal. After the big reveal.
You're still with us for a few months more before your due date.
I have to depart, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you've got me for a little longer. We'll see how it goes.
Marvellous
See how
stuff.
it goes. It'll be rolling me in. Before I leave this desk.
It'll be a GB baby.
GB News baby. GB baby.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's news channel.
News channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device, and as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to GB News Breakfast with Ben and Ellie. Claire Muldoon and Norman Baker are still with us as well to go through the papers. Should we talk about potential brink of war in the Middle East, Claire? I mean, it is war at the moment, but I guess potentially nuclear war?
I mean, I don't think... I think at the time when Israel went in, I was completely, no, please don't do this. And there was mooted and mooted and mooted. Tulsi Gabbard came out and said that that Iran didn't have any nuclear weapons, and then Trump went, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
They do, right?
That was in March.
And, you know, then all of this is coming out and it's capitulated into something that has got the potential to have a half-life of eternity. And I am very, very, very worried. And I think, I believe that Israel have gone too far in Gaza. And I think this is just an next step. People will say that Israel are fighting this fight again, you know, by themselves. You know, they're doing remarkably well, you know, keeping the West in check and keeping the West safe. I find it really difficult to believe that. What about you, Norman?
Well, look, I mean, there's a couple of things about this. First of all, Trump is all over the place on this. He was allegedly telling Netanyahu not to do it in the first place. Then he was saying they wouldn't be involved themselves. Now he's basically threatening to get involved militarily and bomb the place.
Well, it depends on the intelligence that they have access to, right? Because if they think the Iranian regime is weakened, then this could call for regime change. And if the end game is destroying the nuclear capabilities of Iran, I mean, they could feel as though they're very close. They might as well finish the job.
Well, that's what the Israelis might think. The Israelis think that Iran is weakened and they can take advantage of the situation.
Well, the US might think that too.
Well, I mean, the US intelligence, official intelligence, was that they're not near having a nuclear weapon. Whether or not they want to develop it is another matter, but they're not near having one now. There's only one nuclear state in the Middle East. It's Israel. And let's remember that Iran actually signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty in 1968. Israel has not signed it. Israel is a rogue state when it comes to nuclear weapons. And, you know, what they're doing now is quite a... You know, they've bombed Syria, they've bombed Lebanon, they've bombed Yemen, they're running riot in Gaza.
But there's reasons for that, Norman. There are reasons for that. Iran are fueling proxies all across the Middle East and indeed, in England.
Yes,
it was only some weeks ago that 3 Iranians were, I think it's an active case, so we've got to be careful, but arrested for making moves on the Israeli embassy in Kensington. I've heard some intelligence about that, which I won't talk about, but it would shock you. You know, Iran are funding all these proxies,
yes, they are.
They're not some, you know, civilised, happy country in the Middle East.
I'm not arguing they are. But I'll tell you what this reminds me of very much. It reminds me of 2003 and the Iraq War, when we were told there were weapons of mass destruction and we had to then get rid of Saddam Hussein and change the regime. As it happened, 45 minutes from Doon, that was a headline on the papers, there were no weapons of mass destruction. Now we're being told they've got a nuclear weapon to be developed in Tehran. Israel's a nuclear state. There's no way that Tehran is going to have a nuclear war with Israel. It may well do, and does do the things you said, Ben, all the Hezbollah and everything else, and Hamas. And they're a horrible regime. The Iran is a horrible regime, but they are not an immediate threat. And regime change, which is what Netanyahu wants, is illegal in international law.
Yeah, Claire, I just wish they'd be honest about it. I agree, actually, with Norman on the fact. Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, in March, stood before the House Senate Committee and said Iran is absolutely nowhere near getting a nuclear bomb. That was a few months ago in March. So what's changed? If they want regime change, just say it.
Well, look, I don't think anyone around this table or any one of our viewers or listeners would actually say the regime in Iran is good for women, children and domesticity. It's not. It's a mafia state, right? It's horrific, right? But for Netanyahu to go and do what he did, I think was very, very, I don't want to use the word preemptive because of the connotations of that, but it was wrong, in my view. It really was. And he started it, and it has to be finished now, unfortunately.
I guess we'll never know the truth about Iran's nuclear capabilities. I suppose you have to accept the intelligence of the day, which is they say they're close. So, should we talk about this vote in Parliament yesterday? The MPs have voted for the biggest overhaul of abortion laws in half a century. Essentially, Claire, if you want to go pretty much full term and get some pills online.
This is about it's infanticised. It's infanticisation. It's the murdering of children. That's what this bill has done. And Labour just seems set in killing old people, killing sick people, and now killing children. This is the party of death, and they need to be taken out. I'll tell you that. They are a big weapon of mass destruction sitting in Westminster at the minute. And I believe every single person that voted for Labour in the last election, one, they've got blood in their hands, and two, I'm quite sure they've got post-purchase dissidence, because anyone with a modicum of a moral compass to look what they've introduced must be thinking, what have we done?
So the Labour backbench who's introduced this, this is Tanya Antonese. She's saying the law still remains the same, so you can have an abortion up to 24 weeks. It means that after 24 weeks, women do not face arrest or prosecution for having an abortion, because in this country, she's saying you shouldn't face arrest for
but do you know the really stupid thing, Ellie? The doctors, anyone to help that, will still be criminalised. Right, so this is a completely moot point. But what we have to look at, again, as I mentioned in the earlier segment, you need to look at the MPs that actually voted for this piece of legislation to be changed. And thank God it's not gone to the House of Lords yet, because I'm hoping and praying that when it does go to the Lords, it'll be repealed, it'll be sent right back. This is murder.
Far be it from me to defend the Labour government, which I have no intention of doing on a regular basis. But to be fair to them, it was a free vote yesterday in the House of Commons. It wasn't a whipped Labour Party vote. There was a majority of 242 MPs for this. So MPs of all parties voted for this yesterday. Personally, I'm slightly uncomfortable about it, but that was a free vote yesterday.
Yeah, certainly was.
All right. Thank you both. You'll be back in the next hour with more stories. In the meantime, let's get your weather update with Alex Burkill.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere because, again, in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places, though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night, some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more clouds still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 at the Rest and Be Thankful remains accessible with temporary traffic signals. Motorists are advised to proceed cautiously and anticipate delays due to traffic control measures. The A483 southbound Rosslyn-or-Crugog on-slip is closed from 8 tonight until 6 tomorrow morning for planned resurfacing work. On the M25, the clockwise entry slip at junction 30 in Thurrock has delays due to a broken down vehicle. Normal traffic conditions are anticipated soon, and on the trains there is a reduced service between Bletchley and Bedford on the London North Western Railway. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. The United States on the brink of joining Israel in the war against Iran.
White House insiders reveal the president could give the go-ahead for American strikes in Iran within hours.
It's after another night of strikes between Israel and Iran.
President Trump issues an ultimatum to Iran: surrender unconditionally or pay the price.
Breaking news as we speak. May's inflation figures are about to be released. Stay tuned to find out if it's down or up from April's 3.5%.
Countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas. Here's what the Prime Minister told our very own Christopher Hope.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
The G7 summit in Canada wraps up after world leaders forged on. That's despite Donald Trump's early exit.
A sweeping majority of MPs vote to decriminalise abortion in England and Wales in the biggest shake-up to reproductive rights for 60 years.
King Charles and Queen Camilla lead the carriage procession at Royal Ascot as day 2 of the annual festival begins.
Should under-30s toughen up? Turns out Gen Z are spending hundreds of pounds a month on things such as skincare and protein shakes. Is it time, though, they got their priorities in check?
And in sport this morning, just when you were missing the Premier League football, well, the fixtures for next season will be released at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll have those for you as soon as they come in. Katie Bolter has spoken about the horrible online abuse that she's suffered. Manchester City make their debut in the Club World Cup later today.
There's a heatwave building in time for the weekend, but before that, today's looking, well, fine for most of us and very warm too. I'll have more info coming up.
Good morning, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
I'm Ben Leo, and this is GB News Breakfast.
And some breaking news in the past minute or so. Inflation figures rose by 3.5% in the 12 months to May 2025, compared with 3.5% in the 12 months to April. That is according to data from the ONS.
Yes, so that's down 0.1%, so flatlined pretty much. 3.5% down to 3.4%. Don't know what that tells us really about the economy. Flatlining, I guess.
Well, Lauren McKevitt's with us, who's got some instant reaction. What do you make of it, Lauren?
I think flatlining is probably a pretty decent way of looking at it. I think there are some shocks coming down the line. War with Iran and putting the Straits of Hormuz in danger threatens oil prices, which will obviously impact on inflation further down the line if things continue as they do, or if anything happens to disrupt the Straits. I think the statistics coming out on inflation and the labour market survey every month from the ONS, the ONS is having more problems with accuracy than it was previously, and they're having to revise more and more. And I think that makes it challenging to understand how legitimate the assessment we can make is until they issue a revision in a couple of weeks. You know, they've revised the excise duty data recently. You know, it should make us concerned about how well they are handling data on population counting, etc., and that moves us into an immigration conversation. You know, if we don't know how to count how many people are in the country to begin with, you know, is the only accurate reflection we have counting the number of people coming off boats in the Channel on a daily basis. The ONS needs to strive for accuracy. I know it does strive for accuracy, but a lot of their statistics are having to be revised considerably more often than previously, and I think that we need to look more carefully at that.
I think the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee meets tomorrow, perhaps, to discuss interest rates. What will this inflation figure do, if anything, to influence their decision?
It's such a minor adjustment. I'm not entirely certain how much of an impact it's going to make on the Bank of England's decision-making. I know that there was, from memory, the last meeting that they had, there was a bit of a split in movement. So I think they're probably pretty divided. This won't have changed too much, I don't think.
OK, Lauren, stay with us because we'd like your reaction to this story, because the Prime Minister has said that countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas.
Yes, that's as Sir Keir Starmer spoke to our very own Christopher Hope, GB News political editor, about his plans to introduce a transactional immigration system where Britain doesn't bear the brunt.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
But after GB News revealed a record 17,000 small boat migrants have arrived so far this year, we're asking, can the government be trusted with our borders?
Oh, Lauren's back with us now. Lauren, what's your take on this? I mean, the big question is, can the government be trusted with our borders, first of all? But also, what do you make of this kind of mooted deal where we will sting countries with visas if they fail to curb illegal
On the
migration?
one hand, it's fairly sensible. It's sort of, a lot of people watching this morning will be wondering why this hasn't already been done. On the other hand, a lot of the people coming across the channel were people who would not be qualifying for a visa to begin with, which is why, of course, they've taken this very dangerous route into Britain. And a lot of them will have left their points of their countries of origin some time ago to make this trip. And it's not clear that there is enough of a win for some of the countries where people are legitimately receiving visas to come to the United Kingdom in order to take back people who have left their own countries by very, very dangerous means to get here. I'm not sure that it balances up for those countries to make those changes, and I'm not sure it will act as enough of a deterrent for a group of people who are unlikely to have qualified for visas to begin with. They may still choose to make the trip regardless. The numbers that are involved here, we're now up, I think, about 50% on where we were this time last year. The criminality of this is something that I agreed with the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary when they were talking about the criminality element of this. It is incredibly dangerous. The people organising these boats are, they are effectively human traffickers. Oh, yeah. People are coming in a very, very dangerous manner, both into Europe and into the United Kingdom. And human lives being in danger is something that I have a real concern about. But it doesn't seem that the government is able to grapple either with the French government or more broadly with the ability to actually, the phrase they were using was smash the gangs who were criminally getting people across borders. Those people are in incredible danger. But there is still an incentive to make the trip because it is still safer than where they were coming from. And as we see more uncertainty and more war within the Middle East, I think we're likely to see an increase rather than a decrease.
Do you think we could see a change of tack here from the government? And I ask that because Shabana Mahmood is making a significant speech in Strasbourg today, isn't she?
She is, and I find this interesting. You and I were talking about this in the break. This is fascinating to me, that the Justice Secretary has been given permission, and she will have been given permission to go and give this speech in Strasbourg, while sitting in the same cabinet as the Attorney General, who thinks that any questioning of the international legal system as it currently stands basically makes you a fascist. Reform of ECHR has been mooted by senior leaders within the Conservative Party for some time, although there is no agreement really still as to whether or not we should be departing or trying to reform. Kemi Badenoch has said that the Conservative Party is going to look at this now, but still doesn't have a clear position on it. Robert Jenrick was very clear on departure. Tom Tugendhat was very clear on potential reform and departure if not. This is a particularly sticky issue for the right. It's very interesting to see the left beginning to take this on and talking about reform of ECHR, which will be very, very hard if other countries aren't also coming to the table on this. But they may be struggling enough with some of the stringent elements of ECHR which don't match up to the modern transportation networks, the modern definitions of economic migration rather than asylum. A lot of what's in ECHR hasn't met with the modern world well enough. And perhaps the rest of Europe is beginning to look at whether or not we should be changing that now. And we can only do this as a collective of people because it is a treaty that multiple people have signed up to. The UK can't, in isolation, begin to change this. So if she gets some traction on that, that could be a very good thing.
It reminds me of David Cameron back in the day saying he was going to go to the EU and get reform, and, that sparks the rise of UKIP in the independence vote. And can you really, let's be honest, look at these pictures, by the way, on the screen now. Still now, it shocks me. We talk about the numbers, 17,000, up 50% year on year. It's only until you look at the pictures, the boat upon boat of mostly was 80% young men crossing the channel en masse, thousands per week. I mean, it's just insane. Can you really trust Keir Starmer, a man of international law who seems to prioritise his lawyer friends and the international order more than British sovereignty? Could you really trust him to go and reform the ECHR or even leave it?
No, but I have been impressed by the Justice Secretary, actually. Her willingness to go against the Sentencing Council. You know, there are areas where power was devolved away from the Justice Secretary where she seems keen to take it back and have ministerial responsibility and control over those issues again, which is quite refreshing, actually, after years of Justice Secretaries trying anything possible to not be blamed for things going on in the justice system. So perhaps, you know, within the cabinet, she is someone who is legitimately trying to make a change. The French are, on the one hand, handing out life jackets on the coast. They're also firing tear gas at people. No one really wants to have to be doing that. So perhaps we are at a moment within Europe where people are wanting to reform a system rather than abolish a system. And let's not forget that ECHR served a very good purpose back in the day. It's just it doesn't, in my opinion, meet with the modern realities of ease of transportation, countries reaching middle-income status and people being able to afford to pay people smugglers to get them into Europe, the concept of economic migration versus asylum and refugee status. These are all much more modern problems that a fairly antiquated system of law doesn't deal with well. And perhaps Europe is reaching a crisis point across the continent where it says, we need to redefine some of this in order to protect ourselves. We don't necessarily need to get rid of it, but redefinition is important.
Maybe it needs to evolve into modern times. Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. I think the hot weather is going to continue in good fashion for the rest of the week. This weekend, including Friday, meant to be pretty balmy. Here's your update with Alex Burkill.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere because, again, in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places, though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night. Some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more clouds still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
OK, the G7 summit in Canada has wrapped up and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is flying back home with a trade deal signed on the dotted line by President Donald Trump.
It's after they picked it up from the floor.
Yes, very funny.
President Donald Trump dropped it by accident. GB News political editor Christopher Hope has this report from a very picturesque Alberta.
So Keir Starmer arrives back in the UK with a spring in his step after, for him, a successful 4-day visit to Canada. It started by meeting with Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, in Ottawa. Mr Carney has agreed to ratify the UK entering the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, potentially worth trillions of dollars to the UK economy. He then moved to the G7 meeting near Banff, and there he met with Donald Trump, the US President. Again, a vital meeting because Mr Trump has agreed to ratify, well, nearly ratify all of the trade deal between the US and the UK. This means 10% tariffs on car exports to America from the UK and 0 tariffs on aerospace, but more to come on steel and pharmaceuticals. So Keir Starmer also uses this visit to push domestic issues, notably on migration. He had an entire session of the meeting of these G7 leaders discussing how to deal with illegal migration. One idea he told us about is withdrawing visas from countries which don't stop illegal migration. It's an idea. There's no more detail yet, but it might just work. He also took time out to reset some errors, I think, from this first year of this Labour government. He's, with Rachel Reeves, of course, last week, reversed the winter fuel payment being removed from millions of pensioners. And also this week, he finally announced this national inquiry into the grooming gangs scandal and told GB News viewers it wasn't far right to wanted that in the first place. But he flies back to the UK knowing that he failed to do the main thing he wanted to come here to do, which is try and de-escalate the trouble in the Middle East. The UK is only one voice amongst many, and maybe that was a step too far. The fighting continues between Iran and Israel, and also, of course, Russia and Ukraine. Again, only sanctions imposed on Russia, but will they make any difference? We'll wait and see. Back in the UK, trouble awaits, a potential rebellion on benefits. But Sir Keir Starmer will be well pleased, I think, with his 4 days in Canada.
I bet Christopher Hope is very pleased with his 4 days in Canada. It has been beautiful. Look at those mountains and those lakes.
How long has he been there?
4 days.
4 days. Amazing.
To be fair to him, he missed Father's Day. He was opening his Father's Day cards on the plane.
Oh, I think I'd do that if I could go to Alberta. Looks amazing.
Yeah,
all the kayaks in the background.
It's very you. It's very outdoorsy and sporty and
very nice
stuff, but it is beautiful. Now, Gen Z is spending nearly £2,000 a year on health products to look good. So we're asking this morning, do the young have their priorities straight? I think I know what you're going to say to that. Or do they need to toughen up? We're going to be debating that next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools? What on earth is going on? Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now we're counting down to your best summer so far with £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. It's just like having won more than £1,000 a week in your bank account for a whole year. It's actually the biggest cash prize that we've ever given away, and it could all be yours. Here are all of the details that you need.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, Gen Zs are spending nearly £2,000 a year on wellness trends. It's a lot of money, isn't it? Many of which start on apps like TikTok.
Well, research apparently shows that men, in particular, are actually more likely to splash out on vitamin pills and protein shakes than women.
Yeah, and you would probably attest to that, right?
Vitamins and protein, yeah. Anything more extravagant.
You're definitely into all the wellness stuff, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we're asking this morning, do under-30s have their priorities right, or do they need to toughen up?
We're joined now by former UKIP leader Neil Hamilton, who believes Gen Z does need to toughen up, and broadcaster and podcast host Lewis Oakley, who believes they're doing just fine. Good morning, chaps. Thank you for your company. Come on then, Neil. Tell us why Gen Z need to pull their socks up and toughen up.
Well, today, we've got a mania for things like counselling and anxiety and depression and other kind of conditions that you can't actually see or measure are being used for people to give up work. Millions of people are not in employment any longer with these kinds of diagnoses. And I think people just need to get a grip of themselves and start taking responsibility for their own state of life. Society has never been richer in material terms today. You think back to my parents' generation, when they really went through hard times with the Second World War and rationing and so on and so forth. The problems of kids today are coping with these manias of the ultimate prosperity. And that's what annoys me about it. All this public emoting, things like trigger warnings, self-pitying ideas like there are safe spaces because students can't cope with uncomfortable ideas, no platforming because you can't have an honest debate on issues like immigration anymore, for example, although reality has at last forced its way in on people's minds. But as a society today, I think too many people are inward-looking and pitying of themselves instead of getting on with life. And life is difficult, and some people have more difficulties than others. But you've got to cope with crises. And I'd like to say they should man up, but of course we can't use that word any longer either.
You're cancelled, Neil. Off you get. You can't say that these days.
Lewis Oakley, I think you're ready to say something back to that.
I mean, where to start with that? We were starting talking about, just they're buying more health-conscious products, and it was an attack on the entire generation. So where to start? I think, first of all, on the health stuff, I think that this is a great thing because at the end of the day, they're looking after their health, they're investing. Previous generations that I guess were more toughened up, just drank and chain smoked to deal with their issues. Well, actually, these younger generations are facing these issues head on. There's more awareness now of things. I know that it might seem like, oh, you've got anxiety, have you? But actually, we know more than we did in the 70s or the 80s or the 60s, or whatever it is. We're able to diagnose things better now and say, you know what, you're not on edge. You're not weird. You've just got anxiety, and here's how you would deal with that. And I think that we're a more in-touch generation with just knowing what's going on rather than just an older generation saying, oh, you're just weird, you're just odd. Actually, we know what's going on now. And also, don't talk to me about this generation having everything handed to them. The average house now is like 12 times the average wage. So the fact that we can't even afford a house, we may as well invest in the only things we've got, which is our looks and our health, because we can't do anything else.
Oh, yeah. Well, Lewis, maybe you shouldn't champion open borders. That might help you get a house.
Did I champion open? Oh my God, this debate today. We're going everywhere.
Debate.
Oh my God.
Neil,
we've got to get the day off with a bang, haven't we? So.
Neil, that's an important point, though, that Lewis raises, doesn't he? Because I guess for young people, especially Gen Z, if they're looking at the price of a house and they're looking at their wages and thinking, well, I'll never be able to afford my own home, so I might as well just treat myself to the small joys in life, buy a face mask or buy a protein shake and try and get some joy that way, because I'll never own my own home.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm not against people looking after themselves and their bodies, making themselves look good, be a tall order in my case, of course. But nevertheless, where people feel better for doing things like that, who could possibly object? But the sums of money involved are pretty significant, aren't they? But, in a free society, people choose how to spend their money for themselves. Yes, of course, housing is a massive problem because successive governments have actually destroyed the market for housing. And even now, this Labour government is destroying the market for private rented accommodation by introducing extra controls and costs for landlords. So it's our governments that have produced these problems. But then, the idea that my generation, and even more so the generation before me, didn't have real problems. I mean, my father, for example, grew up in a house without running water and indoor sanitation. He was born in 1922, and millions of people lived in those conditions. I remember the massive slum clearance problems. Slum clearance campaigns in the 1950s and 1960s. People lived in really deprived circumstances then. Today,
everyone's got their sob stories, but I don't understand why we look at this generation that you've had everything handed to you, when they might look at your generation that you've ever had everything handed to you. We could just agree everyone's got their troubles. It's fine. And I think one of the things we haven't touched on because of the money that's being spent here on health and wellness is actually, back in the day, an apple was just an apple. Now, apples are sprayed with God knows what. The water's got mycotoxins in. Everything you touch is destroying your testosterone. Actually, it takes a lot of research and sourcing the right products to actually be able to live healthily now. Whereas back in the day, everything came from the ground, everything was in seeds, and everything was fine.
Mm. Yeah, good point.
Well, I mean, I don't have any difficulty. I don't have any difficulty wheeling the supermarket trolley around and filling it with things that I like to eat, which are simple and not complicated.
What do you have for breakfast, Neil?
Think that's... So, well, I don't have breakfast. Actually, I have a cup of coffee, and I eat mostly at the other end of the day. But I'm as keen on a big English fry-up as anybody else. But I have to look after my body as well, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, dear.
Thank you both.
Neil, Lewis, that was fun.
Lewis, very quickly, how much do you spend on products a month or a year?
You know what? Probably £2,000 is not far off. I wouldn't say I've got kids to buy for as well, so I'm not as vain as I once was. But I've got good products that I think work.
OK, good. Neil, Lewis, thank you very much. It's not where we thought that debate was going, but we enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that. That was good.
Very, very good.
David Burns on your say has said, good morning, David. Thank you for your company. You've said Gen Z are spending $2,000 a year to look good. Well, it's not working. You all look unwell and underfed.
Oh, no. It's a bit mean.
A little bit mean.
You can't generalise a whole...
I think it was a joke.
Generation, yeah. We'll take it with a dash of humour.
Right, coming up, Ariana Sabalenka has apologised for her comments to Coco Gauff after the French Open final a couple of weeks ago. And Sabalenka, by the way, is the one who grunts very loudly after every shot.
Oh, she's that one.
Very annoying, but props to her for putting off her opponents. Anyway, Coitie's here next with the sports update. Back in a tick.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A38 at the Rest and Be Thankful is open under temporary traffic signals. Delays expected. Proceed with caution. The A483 southbound at the Roseland or Krugog on-slip will close tonight from 8 until 6 tomorrow morning for resurfacing work. A significant collision on the A1M southbound entry slip at junction 35 in Doncaster has closed all lanes. Police report an incident on the M42 northbound between junctions 9 and 10 in Warwickshire, leading to lane closures. Conditions expected to normalise soon. And on the trains, London North Western Railway has a reduced service between Bletchley and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time to go through the latest sports news with Paul Coitz. Hello, Paul. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. Premier League fixtures for next season are released at 9 o'clock this morning. So I'll go through some of those as soon as...
Do you want to remind us, for new viewers who have just tuned in, how it works? Because I found it very interesting.
Do we have to go into all of that detail? Okay.
I thought it was quite interesting.
Oh, it was very complicated.
When did I lose you? Is it pretty much early on?
Pretty early, yeah.
It's done in France, done in Paris, so there's certain rules that they have to... It's not just like just put all the teams in and then you get the 380 games, because you have to avoid... See, I can see your eyes. Don't glaze over. Stay with me.
The 3
Stay
home
with me.
and the 2 away and all in 5.
So you can't play... Teams must not play, or teams, I should say, must play 3 home and 2 away, or vice versa, in a block of 5 games. Mm-hmm. Now, repeat that to me and tell me how it makes sense.
3 home, 2 away in a block of 5 games.
Why then? Why would you think that would be? Because then it keeps it. So because then you're not going to have all of a sudden 5 home games. If sometimes at the start as well, and the end, you can't have more than 2 home or away together. Your face is such a...
And of course, there's other things such as you couldn't have Chelsea and Fulham playing at home on the same day because the policing would be stretched and so on.
United and City, Spurs, Arsenal, which has always been the way, so you can't have them playing at home at the same time. So there's all these different factors that have to go in. I mean, when we talk about, we said, didn't we, about this supercomputer, it's like it's fed in. And then then it all comes out. But anyway.
I will say, why is it outsourced to France?
It's very bizarre.
Can we not do it here?
Well, is it that difficult?
Who outsources it? The FA?
I guess so. No, it's the Premier League. It would be the Premier League, not the FA. Premier League just live around the corner. Maybe we should go around.
I'm going to go and door knock them in a minute.
Yeah, go and see what
I'm going to get a camera and doorstep them.
But anyway, Ellie, can't wait for 9 o'clock, and then we will be going through some of the...
Great.
Looking forward to that. Katie Bolt has been speaking about abuse.
I mean, this is...
I thought she had a nice, warm response.
Well, the funny thing... I'd say the funny thing, I don't mean funny ha-ha, I mean funny as in this is strange, is that it's Katie Bolt, and I would be, if you think of any sports people or anybody that may get abuse, nobody deserves the abuse that you see on social media. We've all seen it. A lot of us have had it. But this one, it's very bizarre that she should get such a bad time from people on social media.
Yeah.
She said she's had a really warm response from a lot of people who, after she talked about it yesterday. I mean, there's things where, I mean, she went through some stuff like, you know, about hoping you get cancer. I mean, this is like as bad. This is really bad. This is as bad as it could possibly be. It's just awful. Buy candles for a coffin for you and your entire family, and it's just difficult for us to, as normal people, to actually understand why and how, and these people that hide behind these names and just... Do they get a kick out of it? Is that what it is? It's just awful.
It's sick.
There's some of it, though, they say, is gamblers, because there's a lot of gamblers that would put money, whether it be onto her to lose or to win or whatever, but the fact that when they lose, or if she loses and they lose money, then they react and then send her abuse because it's insane.
It happens a lot with jockeys. If punters think jockeys have had a bad ride or maybe given the horse a pull or something, they'll just tweet them. I've seen it myself, just horrible abuse. One thing I will say, though, lots of people say hello to me in real life, say, "Hi, Ben, I love the channel." I've never had one person, despite the online abuse, not one person ever say the kind of stuff they do online. So I think it's just confined to...
Well, they'd never say it to your face.
Nobody would ever have the nerve. Nobody would ever do it. That's the thing, and it's so easy just to go... See, I always wonder, is it because they want... When you look deeper and you think, is it because they want to be part of your story? They want literally, they want some... do they want you to then react, or the fact that it's... I can't understand it. But there's some awful stuff. There's some really awful stuff. Quick word on Arina Sabalenka as well, I should tell you. Now,
the grunter.
She wrote to Coco Gauff for being... she said she was completely unprofessional. Said Arena. She said that she was after her comments after Coco Gauff.
What were the comments?
See, is it the worst thing you've ever heard? She said afterwards in the press conference, it's the worst final I've ever played. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, but because I made all those mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's not very gracious.
It's not very sportsmanship-like.
Not very sportsmanship.
Sabalenka did have...
exactly what it is.
Not good sportsmanship.
That's the phrase.
Not good sportsmanship.
Actually, I'm going to tweet. What did she mean when she said not very good sportsmanship? Like, she said, I'm just a human being who's still learning in life.
Yeah, she did have 70-odd unforced errors in that final.
I mean, she's right. I mean, she was bad. She was bad that day. But she wasn't gracious enough. And now she said that she wrote to Coco.
That's nice.
And apologised.
Now, that is gracious.
And that's gracious, and that's all that needs to be done. I'm sure Coco is absolutely fine with that.
Love that.
Play? You want to play? OK.
Birthdays.
Let's do some birthdays. So, Ben, it's got to be on the money, I'm afraid.
Well,
I know you're upset yesterday. Yeah, Ellie did. She got 2 on the money.
I got 2 on the money yesterday. I was very good yesterday. Yeah, I got bang on yesterday. So...
Right,
watch,
so
I'll do it again now.
Let's play the birthday game. If I can find the actual ages, I think, I'm going to guess. Right, OK, Delia. It's lovely Delia Smith's birthday
I love
today.
Delia.
Let's be having you.
Let's be having you is what she said, didn't she, at Carrow Road? She's no longer sort of like the major shareholder at Norwich City.
78.
78
No,
for
that's
Delia
annoying.
Smith.
That's what I was going to say.
Haha.
79.
84 today.
Oh, she looks good though. She looks really
Delia
good.
Smith is 84 today. Who, by the way, she made the cake on the front cover of the Let It Bleed Rolling Stones album.
Did she now?
Yeah, there's a cake on that.
Fun fact.
Little aside. Anyway, so let's go with another one. We have Fabio Capello. There we are, Italian former England manager. Never really any players that played under him, never really hear anything.
Was this before or after Sven?
This was just after.
Okay.
Just after Sven.
So
go older than you think. Ben, help her out. What are you going to go with first? Lay the marker down.
78 again.
78 is a good marker.
Ooh.
Oh, is it a good marker?
Very good.
Oh, no, you can't give her a clue.
75.
Oh, sorry. 79 is the answer.
Oh.
79, right. No more clues then, because I didn't realise what serious game this was. Let's go with another one. Right, this is Moeen Ali. Moeen Ali, great player for England. So, what do you reckon?
Moeen Ali.
How is Moeen now?
He's 42.
Been playing for a little while. 42
44.
again. A good back 38. 38.
All right.
Right, and one more, maybe not sporting, but truly legendary. It's Sir Paul McCartney's birthday today. How old is Macca today? What do you think? I'd really like to think that one of you is going to get this on the money here. How old, Paul McCartney? You're doing the maths there. I can see you counting on your fingers. It's
73.
Oh, come on, Ben. You could do better than that. I expect more from you. 83. 83.
Oh, so that's quite a bad guess.
That was a really bad round.
Yeah. You know what? Talking about unforced errors, maybe you'll be able to write a letter about your unforced errors during the birthday game.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad round.
Like an Arena Sabalenka birthday game during the French Open.
Well, I was 1 year off.
You were.
Who was it?
You were.
So I think I won that.
You were. No, it's got to be on the money.
It has to be on the money.
Close, no cigar, all that sort of stuff.
Anyway, thank you, Coity.
Thank you, Coity.
Pleasure.
We're upset now.
Don't be sad.
We performed badly.
We'll play again tomorrow.
We'll try again tomorrow.
It's going to be fun.
Do stay with us, still to come. We're going to see what's making the news with Claire Muldoon and Colonel Mustard. There he is. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Portugal, Spain and France is going to continue to build for the next couple of days. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to high 30s, possibly 40 Celsius for a few places. And with that heat, there's a risk of some hefty showers across Portugal and Spain. Some thundery downpours are possible. A few showers also possible further east, affecting Italy and into Greece and Turkey. But actually, through the outlook period, as we go towards the weekend, it's looking largely sunny for many and staying pretty hot.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out this morning to try and do what the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, seemingly can't. Let's clean up the tube. Look, these doors used to be covered in graffiti, but no more. See, it's not impossible.
Not impossible it is, because there is so much that can actually be done. And just a few friends of mine, actually a guy called Joe Reeve, who organised this all, he's from the campaign group Looking for Growth. And he got in touch and said, do I want to come? And I was like, absolutely, I bloomin' do. Because I think we can show some pictures of some of our work, which was just on Sunday morning. And it was actually remarkably simple. What we did was we sprayed the graffiti with sort of anti-graffiti spray, eco-friendly anti-graffiti spray, actually, as it is.
I didn't know it was a thing.
A bit of scrubbing, and look, it just comes off. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science. A total lack of imagination, a total unwillingness to do anything about the sort of social decay that we're seeing in our cities in the country at the moment. A laziness, a profound laziness and lack of political will at the heart of the governance of London that means that people are just like, oh, the washing machine's broken, we'll just live with this social decay. Well, no, you don't have to live with the social decay. You can come up with new ways to do things. You can give some people some sponges, some water and some graffiti spray and get that stuff off. It's not impossible. Pull your socks up, Sadiq. Do something about it.
GB News News, the People's Channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to GB News Breakfast. Let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages this morning. The Sun leads on our top story. Donald Trump, president of the US, says that America could launch direct strikes on Iran unless the country surrenders unconditionally.
Daily Mail says the US is poised and ready to join the conflict between Israel and Iran.
The Times takes a slightly different angle, quoting President Trump's promise not to kill Iran's supreme leader for the time being.
There's only one story in town. The Telegraph also leads with the United States on the brink of direct involvement in the Middle East.
Joining us to go through what else is making the headlines this morning is Claire Muldoon, the journalist and broadcaster, and the former Lib Dem Minister Norman Baker. Welcome back, you two.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, Claire, you'll have a say on this one, won't you? In the Star this morning, parents' words can be harmful for kids.
This is even minimising, telling your child off. Children do wrong, they need to be told they're doing wrong, right? That's the way society goes. That's the way they grow. You've got really young minds and bodies that need to be directed and shown. And let's not forget, they're born into your life. You're in control of them. That's called parental responsibility.
But doesn't it depend what you say? I mean, if you call a child a silly, stupid idiot, that's probably quite harmful, isn't it?
Depends what their age and depends what they actually did. You mean the crime fits the time, the label fits the crime as well. But what is being said in this article is you cannot now reprimand your children or call them naughty. Gone are the days of the naughty step, which I didn't use actually. But I just one look, one word, and maybe a scalp of the bum, and they certainly didn't do it again. Oh.
Well, this is a silly story, to be perfectly frank with you, in the papers. Of course, children need to learn right and wrong, and that's what parents are there to do, to teach them right and wrong, and to set boundaries. Children don't know what the boundaries are, and part of growing up is to have that inculcated into them. So I think this is a bit of a nonsense story, to be honest with you.
We do see the gentle parenting trend now, don't we, where, if a child is slapping their sibling, you'd be like, oh, gentle hands, gentle hands.
Well,
rather than saying, don't hit your sibling.
Well, I think it depends what they're doing. Actually, Claire's right. It depends what they're doing and how they're doing it. Because if you hit their sibling, they should be told off for it. That's clearly wrong.
I think the best lesson is maybe I shouldn't say it. If my youngest hits my 5-year-old, I'll tell the 5-year-old to whack him back.
Yeah, well, fine. Moving on.
No, just me.
No, it's not just you, but you don't want them to whack-a-mole each other.
You are quite a tough parent, though.
No, I'm not. I'm very loving. No, but if my youngest thinks it's acceptable to go around whacking people, I think the best lesson is to get a whack back, and then he won't do it again.
Well, hopefully he doesn't do it in nursery.
And also on the flip side,
that's the next thing. Yeah.
On the flip side, teaching the older sibling, who's very gentle, my oldest boy, he's a sweet angel.
Yeah.
Teaching him that you just can't go around in life getting bullied and accepting it. You need to do something about it.
Well, that's true, but then you also need to build their character, and that is really key when you're a parent. And building a character with virtue, teaching things like resilience, teaching things like discipline, teaching, a myriad of other virtues that are essential. I look at children now, whether it be on public transport, and they're stuck to screens. I look at young mums with babies in buggies and prams, and the babies are stuck to screens. That is so sad. And it's such a dereliction of parental responsibility, in my view, because you're not teaching them how to communicate. You're not teaching them anything than looking at a screen and just zoning out. You don't have any interaction. Children need... if you stick your tongue out at a baby, it emulates you. It does that. It's natural, right? They don't get that by no infiltration, no communication with the parents, and that's really, really sad. And we're seeing feral youths now. I'm going to another story that I've got for the next hour, taking drugs in school. I mean, what is going on?
Gosh, what is going on? Norman, let's have a look at a train story, please.
Well, this is another disaster, I'm afraid. I mean, I have to say that HS2, this is an HS2 story, which is £37 billion of failure, so the government says, over the last government's time, the Tory government's time. And the completion of this will be now delayed by a further 2 years. I have to say that, you know, I've been in favour of HS2 in theory from the start, because the concept was originally, go back to 2012 or thereabouts, the concept was a high-speed line that effectively allowed you to go from Edinburgh to Brussels or Paris, largely high speed, to link up all sorts of journeys people want, to spur down to Heathrow to make it easy to get a plane and so on. That was all junked, and by and large, bits and pieces have gone. We're now left with this kind of stump of a line from Old Oak Common up to Birmingham, now delayed by 2 years, at vast cost. A lot of it in tunnel, by the way. It's going to be deeply unattractive to go on the line, because there's no scenery on that line where it's being built. And it's all over cost. And it's a total disaster. And the way that's been handled by successive ministers, I have to say, but mostly by management of HS2, is shocking. There's another story in the Eye today. A second rail project launches inquiry into large tax fraud. This is Trans-Pennine route upgrade. That's been reported for fraud. The HS2 management now has found subcontractors allegedly fiddling the figures and getting money out of the government improperly. I mean, why can't we manage these projects? I mean, there must be we're a joke compared to other countries. I mean, the cost of doing anything in this country on the railways is massively greater than anywhere else.
And the time.
And the time. You look at the cost of electrification of the line out of Paddington down to Wales. I mean, I've forgotten how much that was per mile, but it's 3 times what the Germans pay to electrify their lines.
Why? I mean, HS2 has become such a white elephant, right? But the procurement of both land and homes over the stretch of the land, all very well making things not London-centric, wanting to displace the talent, wanting to displace industry away from London, great. Not got a problem with that at all, because London's far too populated. But we can't seem to get it. Gove, when he was Minister of Levelling Up, had some good ideas. None of them are implemented. And I'll tell you, if you look back to the private contractors that worked in partnership with the public authorities that compulsory bought the homes in this, and then at such a price, and then they resold the land because they knew it wasn't going to happen.
Let me just give you one.
Criminal. It's white-collar criminality.
Yeah, it is. Let me just give you one stat, which is horrific, actually. Which is, if you go from Birmingham, the HS2 line in Birmingham, down to Old Oak Common and change to go to Euston, that's actually going to take you 2 minutes longer than using the existing line.
Oh, no.
I mean, what is the point of it?
Well, the problem is it's not their money, is it? When you're splurging other people's money, taxpayer money, you don't care.
There's no accountability, though, but it's at the feet and the cost of the taxpayer.
All right. Very quickly, in the Man Online, Claire, cookbooks are on their way out, apparently. So if you like rustling up a recipe in the kitchen, people aren't using cookbooks anymore. They are going on TikTok and social media.
I can't believe this. I love a cookbook, and I don't think that's anything at all to do with my age. I think it's to do with the fact I love cooking and I'm a great cook. And I think it's so sad that cookbooks now, 89% of young people now don't even own a cookbook, because obviously what do they use? TikTok. They use their phones. And I think it's worse to have an iPad summing up trying to follow a recipe, because then you're constantly having to touch it. Much prefer the cookbook stand, and the flicking through pages over a glass of wine and a nice afternoon or a nice evening, and you work out what actually goes with what.
Flicking through pages is quite nice. I have to say that I'm being rather old-fashioned. I use still a road atlas in my car, because my car...
What, for cooking?
Not for cooking, but I'm just pointing out other...
a bit of Manchester, a bit of Birmingham, a bit of Coventry as well.
Flavour. No, but I mean, the point is there are a whole series of publications now going out of style.
People now use... A to Zs, do you remember those?
A to Zs, absolutely.
A to Zs were great,
I still use this road atlas in my car, but then I've got a 1971 car with no GPS.
Is it a huge big one?
Well, there you go.
Norman, is it the A5 page one?
It's a big one.
A3 one?
Yeah, absolutely, a big one, yeah. Gets me from A to B.
I love a traditional cookbook. And I get them every Christmas. That's what people would give me for Christmas, because I love them so much. And I like it when you love a recipe so much, you've got dog-eared...
And stained. It might be stained.
And you might have a bit of flour, a bit of gravy on it. And passing it down through the generations as well.
It's wonderful. And the other lovely thing is, if you mix them up, like an Ottolenghi with a Delia, with a Jamie Oliver, with a Gordon Ramsay, you can actually find out what goes with things. Yeah. And they're saying now that people have got better tastes now than ever, which is great. But that comes from generations passing on, and the effect, one positive effect might be of globalisation, is the fact that we've got all these cultures and all this industry and all the recipes at our fingertips.
You should get Dilly to come in, so she's 84 now. Come in and give her view on the matter.
Now, that is
Let's
a
be
great
having her.
idea, Norman. She's welcome any time. Do you like a cookbook, Ben?
I like cooking when I get the chance, but because I'm quite busy working and things, I rarely cook.
Because you're always here.
Yeah, the wife is a very good cook, so yeah.
Oh, that's good. Does she use a cookbook?
I don't think she does. We tend to get recipes from friends. They'll recommend something, and we'll just.
See, that's as well, word of mouth and sharing things. And I think as well with cookbooks, it's nice when you have people around for dinner and they say, "Oh, what is it?" And you say, "Oh, it's a Delia recipe. Here, have a look in the book." I mean, it's a lovely thing to talk about.
And the problem is a lot of people don't know how to cook now, and that was the crucial thing of cookery books as well. The only one I wouldn't recommend is Nigella because she's all over the place.
Oh,
no. Right, thank you both.
Very difficult to follow.
On that note.
Well, on that note.
Appreciate it. You'll be back in the next hour. Let's get a quick weather update with Alex Burkill.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere because, again, in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places, though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bring some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night, some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more cloud still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 at Reston Be Thankful is open under temporary signals. Drivers should approach cautiously due to delays. In South Yorkshire, Doncaster A1M southbound entry slip at junction 35 is closed due to a collision. Clean-up is expected by 9:15 this morning. Resurfacing on the A483 southbound at Roslin or Krugog involves closures from 8 this evening until 6 tomorrow morning. And on the trains, London North Western Railway has reduced service between Bletchley and Bedford. South Western Railway reports disruptions between Guildford and Woking, and Basingstoke and Eastleigh. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then. Yeah, and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The United States on the brink of joining Israel in the war against Iran.
White House insiders reveal the president could give the go-ahead for American strikes in Iran within hours.
Well, it's after another night of strikes between Israel and Iran.
President Donald Trump issues an ultimatum to Iran: surrender unconditionally or pay the price.
Countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas. Here's what the Prime Minister told our very own Christopher Hope.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
Yes, well, over 17,000 people have now crossed the Channel illegally this year. That is a record. The Prime Minister looking at new ways to deal with this. Meanwhile, the Justice Secretary is in Brussels making a case for reform of the ECHR. I'll bring you more details shortly.
The G7 summit in Canada wraps up after world leaders forged on, despite Donald Trump's early exit.
Breaking news in the last hour. Inflation flatlined in May, falling just 0.1% to 3.4% compared to April's 3.5%.
Liam O'Hanna, a member of the controversial Northern Irish band Kneecap, is set to appear in court this morning over terrorism charges.
King Charles and Queen Camilla lead the carriage procession at Royal Ascot as day 2 of the annual festival begins.
And we're sitting down with a Traitors finalist who's dishing all the dirt and the gossip on one of the most popular reality TV shows.
Don't trust him. Don't trust him. In sport this morning, just when you were missing Premier League football, well, fixtures for next season will be released at 9 o'clock this morning. We have those for you. Former referee David Coote has been charged by the FA, which, let's face it, seems a little bit late now. And Emma Raducanu will partner Carlos Alcaraz in the new US Open doubles tournament.
There's a heatwave building in time for the weekend, but before that, today's looking, well, fine for most of us and very warm too. I'll have more info coming up.
Good morning to you. It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Ben Leo, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, let's get straight into it, shall we, and speak to the Shadow Defence Secretary, James Cartledge, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Mr Cartledge.
Good morning.
And our top story this morning is about President Donald Trump. We're hearing he's poised to join the war in Iran, between Israel and Iran. What's your thoughts on that, and where would that leave Britain?
Well, it's obviously a very important question, and I think, clearly no decision's been made, and it's not for us to really speculate on that. But nevertheless, as you rightly say, the noises from the White House do appear to imply that they are getting close to a commitment. There have been reports of capabilities being moved. I mean, obviously some of this is also speculative. I think the key thing is, and this is our party's view, being very clear-eyed about the threat from Iran and what it would imply if they did have a nuclear capability. So we do support Israel's right to defend itself in these circumstances.
And would you support the complete destruction of Iran's nuclear programme if they are close to creating a nuclear weapon?
Well, certainly, Kemi's been very clear. We don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, and as Priti said in the chamber on Monday, our Shadow Foreign Secretary, Priti Patel, the reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency are very worrying, that they have a level of uranium enrichment which is unprecedented for a non-nuclear armed state, so it can only imply one thing as far as I can see. And if the US, together with Israelis, take the view that that intelligence means the only way to stop it is to take decisive military action, then that's something we would not in principle be opposed to. We do recognise the scale of that threat.
Mr Cartledge, can I ask you please what your take is on the status of Iranians living in London? Particularly I'm referencing the likes of a former vice president of the Iranian regime who backed calls for the fatwa on Salman Rushdie some years ago. He's now living in a very leafy part of North London, nice life, but he's got a questionable past, not least supporting vocally the former Iranian Revolutionary Guard chief Salami. So should these people be in London, bearing in mind their past?
Well, as you know, we have our own domestic security apparatus and judicial processes for people who, if there are grounds to act, then we do so. Sorry, I thought someone was coming up behind me, my apologies. We have the ability to act if there is, our legal grounds to do so. I think, if I may just say about the point about the British position here and what the implications are, I think one of the most important points that can be overlooked is it wasn't very long ago that the Houthis, who are a terrorist movement supported by Iran, received ballistic missiles and other weaponry from Iran, and they were used to attack our own naval ships. So this is a very serious situation from our perspective as well. That's why, for us as a party, we are open-minded. I think in terms of the domestic situation, well, I can't comment on those individual cases, but I'm very clear on the threat we face. That's why we understand why Israel has taken the decisive action that it has.
Do you think it's time for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to be designated as a terrorist group by the UK government?
I mean, that is a long-running debate, isn't it? Many people raise that point, and I understand that the Foreign Office have had their own reasoning for not wanting that to happen in terms, I think, of preserving some sort of diplomatic channel, and maybe there's a justification for that. I just think at the moment, in many ways we are beyond all that, aren't we? We are at a situation where you now have kinetic strikes between Iran and Israel constantly ongoing. Clearly this is coming to a head, and I think, just to be clear to your viewers, from our party's point of view, Iran is a very clear threat, and in principle we would not rule out supporting the US if it went down this road, but at the moment that's speculation. Let's see what happens.
OK, let me ask you about the Conservative plans this morning to house army veterans. Some would say it's a long time coming. There's a general consensus that veterans in this country are neglected and discarded. Indeed, they make up a big proportion of the homeless population in this country. Just tell us, please, what you're doing, and particularly the next Conservative government, you say, will be buying back the defence estate from Annington Homes. How much would that cost? Where would you get the money from?
Yeah. Let me clarify a few points. Veterans are incredibly important. This policy is actually about current serving personnel, just to be absolutely clear. So when I was in government, I was a Minister for Defence Procurement, responsible for the defence estate. Now, you will know that many reports of the shabby quality of defence homes. I'm afraid I was embarrassed by it. That's because basically structurally those properties were poor quality. And the conclusion I came to was, look, we've got lots of people leaving the armed forces. They're down 1,000 since the general election. One of the reasons for that is the poor quality of accommodation. Let's do something about it. The problem is the defence estate was sold off in 1996, and that meant what you couldn't do was rebuild the estate. You could just put, if you like, what you call sticking plaster solutions in place. So I did a lot of work in government to buy back the defence estate. That concluded, the legal part of that concluded under the current government. The cost is about £5 billion, but just to be clear, that cost was matched by how much we saved from the national debt, because we as a government were paying to rent those homes effectively. So by restoring ownership, we now have this amazing opportunity to deliver homes for heroes, for those who serve our country. But there's a big question, you know this, that the difficult thing in government is delivery. How do you deliver that change effectively? So what I'm announcing today is we'll be setting up an Armed Forces Housing Association, so to properly ensure really effective rebuild and regeneration of the defence estate, delivering high quality homes, and in addition to that, actually also offering more opportunities for home ownership for those who serve.
What's your reaction to your counterpart, the Defence Secretary John Healey, his comments over last weekend that plans to increase the size of the British Army in order to deal with the new threats that we've been speaking about this morning are going to be deferred until after the next election? Is it time that we increase the size of our armed forces, or is it right to just delay it for now?
It's an excellent question, because the policy I'm announcing today is really about retention. This is a fundamental challenge. It was a challenge for us in government and for many of our allies. And I think you make a very good point. You know, John Healey in opposition constantly criticised us for the size of the army. Fair enough. But actually, once he's looked at it, he's come out and, as you rightly say, and I think it's very weak, has announced it'll only increase in the 2030s. And I think that's because of two things. First of all, he knows, because of these sorts of challenges around retention, basically people are leaving in greater numbers than they're joining, that he won't increase the size of the army. It's very difficult. So he's put it off to the next Parliament, so he doesn't have to be held to account for that this Parliament. I'm willing to be held to account for our policies. That's why I'm saying you've got to grip the issue of retention. The reason the armed forces are getting smaller is not because of a lack of new recruits, it's because too many people are leaving. And the number one reason in the recent armed forces survey was the pressure on family life, and housing is a big part of that.
OK, Mr Cartledge, sorry, before I let you go, how much would it cost a Conservative government to buy back the defence estate from Annington Homes? What's the figure?
So just to be clear, that deal is completed. Just to be absolutely clear, it's completed. I think it was just over £5 billion, but the cost, the sort of transactional cost, was outweighed by the benefits to the national accounts that you no longer, over many years, pay the rent, which of course is included in the national debt. So it's a deal that paid for itself, but it brings benefits beyond that. If you regenerate the estate, you can free up potential land to sell off. That will also bring income. The crucial thing is, under our policy of this new housing association, it would be totally independent and ring-fenced. So if there is money created for housing, it couldn't be raided by the Treasury or other parts of the MOD. It's about putting those who serve our country first and delivering homes for heroes.
James Cartledge, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
OK, let's move on. The Prime Minister has said countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas.
Well, that's as Keir Starmer spoke to our very own Christopher Hope about his plans to introduce a transactional immigration system where Britain doesn't bear the brunt.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
But after GB News revealed a record 17,000 small boat migrants have arrived so far this year, can the government be trusted with our borders?
Well, GB News' political correspondent Catherine Forster joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Catherine, and tell us more about these plans.
Yes, well, I spent quite a surreal lobby briefing yesterday with the Number 10 spokesman repeatedly saying that the government's approach to this was world-leading and that the days of us being a soft touch were over. But as you've said, the numbers are now over 17,000. That is a record. So the Prime Minister told our political editor, Chris Hope, that they are looking at what he describes as a more transactional approach, linking illegal migration to legal migration. So we give a lot of, obviously, legal visas for people to come and live and work in this country. The government are considering docking those, giving less of them if countries refuse to take back people who have come here illegally, who are then not given the right to stay. So that's one thing. Another thing is we've seen, of course, chaos in France, increasing violence. We've also seen many police officers just standing, watching while migrants are loaded onto boats. We do understand that there will be a change in the agreement as how France deals with these, likely to come into effect at the end of June, which means that they will be able to go and intercept these boats in shallow water, which at the moment they're not doing. That, if and when it happens, could make a big difference. And the other thing that's happening is today the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is in Brussels. She is making a speech calling on the need to reform the European Convention on Human Rights, something that the Tories are talking about leaving, something that Reform have said we should leave. It is quite something, I think, that a Labour government led by a former human rights lawyer is now talking about this. We know already they're looking particularly at Article 8, the right to a family life. But of course, will it lead to any change? This is not just a problem that we're dealing with, it's a problem facing the whole of Europe.
Great stuff. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate that. Yeah, very interesting that Shabana Mahmood will be there talking about the ECHR. Some shift, talking about reform.
I think that's really significant.
Yeah.
I think a year ago, nobody was talking about this as an issue.
I mean, it was such a taboo
maybe a few on
topic.
the right.
I mean, Reform probably were, but I mean,
that was it.
For everybody else, such a taboo topic. I mean, even Keir Starmer's Attorney General, Lord Hermer, a few weeks ago said that the conversation of leaving the ECHR was something like 1930s Germany. I mean, an absurd assumption, of course, but yeah, Labour.
Now we have the Justice Secretary making a speech in Brussels about it.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Right, let's move on. Donald Trump is considering a direct strike on Iran after meeting with his military advisers overnight.
The US president has said he knows the exact location of Iran's supreme leader and is calling for the country's unconditional surrender.
In a post on his Truth Social, the president said he doesn't want to shoot missiles at civilians or involve American soldiers, but did say that the US patience is wearing thin.
Well, joining us now is Defence Editor for The Telegraph, Con Coughlin. Good to see you this morning, Con. And we're hearing that the US is poised to join the war with Iran.
Yes, well, I think this is a significant uplift in the pressure being applied to the Iranian regime over its nuclear program. Remember, this whole saga began when Trump became president and wrote to the supreme leader in Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and said he wanted to negotiate an end to the whole nuclear issue with Tehran. And he said he'd give them 60 days. Well, those 60 days are now up. Israel has already launched its own attack, and the fact that the Trump administration is saying very publicly that it is weighing up its options is going to put a lot of pressure on Tehran about what it does next and whether it really does want to end this war by giving up its nuclear weapons.
What would US involvement look like, Con? I understand the Israelis want a bunker buster bomb from the States, which they don't have. What would it look like if the US got involved?
Well, the big target is this underground nuclear facility that's been built into a mountain called Fordo. And the Iranians built this facility in secret. It was revealed by intelligence agencies a few years ago. And the suspicion is that when people talk about Iran having the means to build a nuclear bomb now, this is where they'd do it. But as I said, it's deep within a mountain, and the Americans are the only military power in the West that has the kind of weaponry that could really take this out. So that is clearly one of the options on the table. But my view at the moment is that Trump is basically upping the pressure on Tehran. There have been diplomatic signs the Iranians want to rejoin negotiations and stop the pummeling they're suffering from Israel. Whether the Israelis can be persuaded to do that is another matter, of course.
And Con, we're hearing, well, Israel are claiming that they have control of Iran's skies. So how and can they manage to hit back?
Well, I think the Iranians are finding their ability to attack Israel very diminished. We've seen in the last couple of days the number of missiles and drones the Iranians have been able to fire at Israel has gone down dramatically. And that is because, as you say, the Israelis have established air supremacy. The Iranian Air Force was never up to much. And the Israelis have managed to take out the air defences, some of them quite sophisticated Russian air defences. So the Israelis have done a very good job in negating Iran's ability to defend itself. And that means effectively the Israelis can pick their targets at will, and they are targeting the missile launchers and things like that, and the drone factories. So, Iran's ability to carry the fight to Israel is growing weaker by the day.
OK, Con Coughlin, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Con was talking about pressure on the Iranian government, and there's also, on the flip side, pressure on Donald Trump's government, because, as we've said the last couple of days, Ellie, he was elected by his MAGA base in America on a no-war ticket. America first. Lots of conservative commentators overnight, indeed over the past 3 days, saying, why do we need to get involved in a war 6,000-7,000 miles away when there's so much that needs to be done at home? So very interesting politically, again, how this is going to play out for Trump.
But then there's a school of thought that it's just a bluff by President Trump to say, I'll get involved in order to bring Iran to the table.
Yes.
Especially if they're in a weakened state, which we just heard from Con Coughlin. So perhaps there's more going on behind the scenes.
His social media posts have been ramping up, haven't they? Ramping up in rhetoric and threats and so on. And, I mean, I guess it's no laughing matter, but the fact he posted online... I mean, what a state of affairs we live in today, where the President of the United States goes on social media and tweets to the Iranian leader, hey, look, we know where you are. We're not going to kill you just yet. But come to the table. I mean, could you imagine that 20 years ago? I
mean, we're seeing it unfold in the skies, of course, but we're also seeing it unfold on X.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a remarkable state of affairs, isn't it?
Great times.
Yeah.
Well, in one aspect, anyway.
And Truth Social as well, not just X as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we get a look at the weather? Because that's a nice, bright picture.
Something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to, at least. Here it is with Alex Burkle.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere, because again in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night, some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more cloud still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and it could all be yours. £54,321 up for grabs in the Great British Giveaway. What's it like, Ben?
I think it's like having just over an extra £1,000 a week in your bank account for a year, which would be very much welcomed. Here's all the details you need to win.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, still to come. They call it, some quarters, the greatest show on turf, Royal Ascot.
Ah, and it is.
Are these pictures here? It's the King, looking dapper. I think our very own Cameron Walker has been there as well. Not today. I understand he's having a well-earned day off, but he'll be there all week alongside the King, the Queen, the Royals.
Well, do you actually want to hear about Cameron Walker? Because he is there today. But I actually think this is very clever. He's taken a day of annual leave so he can actually enjoy the champagne.
Yeah, he's shirking. He's shirking. We'll talk more about that after the break. I think he should have taken the day off on the last day of Royal Ascot so you can enjoy it, because if he drinks today and has a few glasses of champagne, he might be feeling a bit iffy tomorrow. So, back in a sec.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I think there's a real culture shift when you leave the forces, which some people really struggle with. Not all do, many don't. You know, of those 2.1 million, not everybody's struggling with loneliness and isolation. But those that do really struggle to find their way, and then you get in that spiral.
They've been institutionalised, they've been in a with other men or other women for many years.
So you've lived in that community, you've felt valued, you've had purpose, you've had a great team and an identity, and then in some cases you don't. And when you lose that, some people struggle with that. And so Friday, as you saw, is an environment where you can bring that community back together again.
And it might actually be that some of the people to whom the army is an appealing option are already the kind of characters that want that security and they need that routine and stability, especially as younger men maybe. And so to have that taken away must be difficult. What more can be done, Richard, to help veterans when they do transition out of the army?
I think there's some good mechanisms in place for people to transition from all three services, Army, Navy, Air Force. But some people struggle, perhaps those who leave quickly as well. So if you leave quickly under a medical discharge or for disciplinary reason, you know, you haven't necessarily left on your terms or within a time. If you were planning on serving 20 plus years and that's over in a flash, that's a game changer. And so you need that support network, family, friends, but also the MOD provide and also local community provides. And
I was talking to one guy and I said, what's going on with your leg? And his wife said, he won't tell you. He lost his leg on duty, would not talk about it. He said, I was just doing my job. That's when it's incredibly humbling, and we saw a lot of this at VE Day. Bev and I were down at the Palace for 5.5 hours, and we met some extraordinary figures. And it does, you do feel a sense of humility in their presence, and then you see some of them are sleeping rough on our streets.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, now we're very jealous, aren't we?
Yeah, somebody said, Ben, you sound jealous of Cameron.
Well, you are.
Yeah, a little bit, just a teeny bit.
I wish I was at Ascot this week.
Somebody
My favourite
said.
week.
Somebody said, Ellie, sorry to interject. They said, it's Jacqueline. Good morning, Jacqueline. Shame Ellie can't cover Ascot again. I bet she would love the fashion and glamour. I'm going
Jacqueline,
tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. You have to send us a picture of your outfit, Jacqueline, and your hat, please. Let us know what you're wearing.
Oh, that's a great idea for shout-outs.
Great idea for shout-outs.
Ascot
GB...
outfits.
I think we have to send it to a different email. I think it's gbviews@gbnews.com. It is. So send your photos to that email address, please, gbviews@gbnews.com.
And also, if you see Cameron Walker, GB News Royal Correspondent, at Ascot today, it's his day off. I think he's having a few drinks in the sun, so pap him and send us the pictures.
I was like, we should speak to him anyway. We should just have a FaceTime or something. But no, it's a fabulous week, isn't it? And it's set to be a lovely day for it today, for day 2.
Yes, some fabulous dresses were spotted. If you're watching on screen now, hats as well. Lots of pomp and pageantry. Some good efforts there, like the cherries.
Oh, yeah, the cherries are nice. And the big feathers and the flowers. It's just great for fashion, isn't it? Well, the King and Queen also made an appearance yesterday, arriving in the very famous carriage procession.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by former royal correspondent Jenny Bond. Good morning, Jenny. Ascot reminds me very much so of the late Queen, Queen Elizabeth. It was very much her thing, wasn't it, the races? How much does the King, Charles, how much is he into the racing and the pomp and pageantry of Ascot, Royal Ascot?
Yeah, I think everyone's a little bit surprised that actually he's taken to it, and they're going to be there all 5 days this year. Of course, Camilla is a great horse person, much more so really than Charles, but he really seems to have thrown himself into it. I mean, this is the time of year when you see the royals sort of strutting their stuff. It starts with the troop in the colour, which is all the pomp and pageantry. Then you've got the garter ceremony, when they dress up in cloaks and plumes of feathers, which actually usually sends Princess of Wales, Catherine, into waves of giggles because her man, William, looks so odd. And then you have this, the glory, really, of Royal Ascot, the carriage procession every day, which is a long procession. It takes about 20 minutes or so, and it's an opportunity for the King to have a house party at Windsor Castle. He has lots of guests staying. And it's on the racecourse itself, it's really one great big garden party. It's great fun. Not so much if you're working, though, so I think Cameron's quite right to take a day off.
Jenny, it truly is the very best of British, isn't it? And I thought it was really lovely yesterday to see the family, the royal family, together, and especially Peter Phillips and his new girlfriend. I think it was their first time together at Royal Ascot, which was nice to see.
What a day for her, yes. She's a paediatric nurse in the NHS. She's called Harriet Sperling, and they've been together for about a year. And this was a mark of approval, a seal of approval from the King and from the whole of the royal family. And we saw her, with Pete Phillips's mother. Could I possibly say a potential mother-in-law? Who knows how serious this relationship is? But one assumes it's pretty serious. If she was invited to the carriage, it must have been fantastic to go down that course. I don't know if she actually waved at people in a regal manner because they're not even engaged as far as I know. But a big day for her. And yes, a great day for royal watchers to do a lot of watching of body language and who's curtsying to whom, there we see, and who's doing what.
Yes, and of course there is, amongst all that, there is some horse racing going on as well. Do you know, Jenny, how many horses the King owns, if any? Of course, I go back to Queen Elizabeth. She had many horses. Fondly remember the royal silks as well that the jockeys would wear. What about the King? Has he got horses and a trainer?
Yeah, she had, I think, about 24 winners over the years at Royal Ascot and won the Gold Cup once, which was a highlight for her. Obviously, she loved it. They had a runner yesterday, the Queen and King. Unfortunately, didn't live up to expectation, didn't do very well. They've got one this afternoon. I think it's called Rainbow's Edge. I think it's probably got a good chance. I don't know. Don't take a tip from me. And they may have one or two other runners this year. But they did write in a message yesterday about the excitement of having runners, and they wish all fellow owners good luck. So, yeah, the King's taking... I'm being surprised, actually, by how interested he is in the horse racing. He always used to, pop along 1 or 2 days a year. But he was much more into his polo, really. But now he's forsaken the polo, and, yes, he's very enthusiastic about it now.
Yeah, and it looks like he's really enjoying it and looks happy and healthy as well, which is really lovely to see. Jenny, are you heading off to Ascot this week?
No. I had enough of it. Yeah, as I said, when you're working, it's really, you've got this stupid great big hat.
Yeah.
You're all done up. Your stilettos are sinking into the ground. You've got your headphones, your microphone, your notebooks, and nah.
It's going to be hot today as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be hot. That makes it even more difficult when you're dressed like that.
Well, you're dressed the part, Jenny. You look beautiful. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you very much. She's not wrong, though. I've covered Ascot for this channel maybe 3 times.
Was it hot when you did it?
It's hot and sticky. Yeah,
you
especially
still go
with the
there?
cat. Oh,
You
yeah.
love it?
I love it. I wish I was there this week.
It was the Queen's horse, Queen Elizabeth. She won the Ascot Gold Cup, Royal Ascot, with Estimate in 2013. Just about remember that.
Yeah.
I miss the Queen.
Oh, I miss her too. It does make you think about her. You're right when you said that. And this is Peter Phillips's new girlfriend, by the way, who looked absolutely beautiful yesterday. We were just talking about her with Jenny Bond. Harriet Sperling, she's a 45-year-old NHS nurse, which is lovely. So you can only imagine how she felt as part of the royal procession yesterday. I mean, she appeared to take it all in her stride. Take it this way. Appeared to take it all in her stride. I don't think she was waving to the crowd, but she was smiling and then chatting there to Princess Anne. So imagine for her, that must be absolutely... What an incredible day for her. And she just seemed to have the royal seal of approval from the King. So that's great.
It's literally meeting the parents for the first time, or meeting the family, but it's at Royal Ascot and you've got the world's media.
In front of the world's media, yeah.
Yeah. No easy task.
She looks beautiful.
Right, if you're going to Royal Ascot or anywhere else today, work or school, here's the traffic and travel update. And don't forget to stay with us on digital and radio too.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A50 Rest and Be Thankful is open under temporary traffic signals, so drivers should approach with caution and expect delays. In South Yorkshire, the A1M southbound at junction 35 is experiencing a road traffic collision causing all lanes to be closed. Normal conditions should resume by 10. Congestion is occurring on the A50 eastbound between the A522 and the junction with the A518 at Toxeter East. Delays of 15 minutes are expected until 9:15 this morning. And on the trains there's disruption between Glasgow Central and Motherwell, as well as on the Elizabeth line through Slough. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Carlos Alcaraz and Emma Raducanu. What did we call them earlier? Radaraz, yes, that's what we're going to call them. Yeah, they're going to be playing mixed doubles together at the US Open. Paul Coit will be here to tell us more.
Radaraz, Alcaraz, I'm still working on this. That's going to be the US Open. But more importantly, we're very excited for 9 o'clock because that is when the new Premier League fixtures are out and we will have them first for you.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here
We do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the...
Unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Paul Coyte's here with the latest sports news. What's in your box of magic tricks?
In my box of magic tricks, there is a box that I'm not allowed to open until 9 o'clock.
All right.
The Premier League fixtures are released. I'm actually really excited about this. This is, I know we've only just got to the end of the Premier League, and now we've got the new fixtures, which won't begin until August, but I just get excited about that.
Yep. Should we go over it one more time? I know we've done it in the last 2 hours.
I think we're all right, actually.
What about very quickly?
I think we're across it.
I think it's extremely interesting, Ellie, and I think Ellie is beginning to love the talk about how they put it together.
Let's do it quickly.
Sunderland, Burnley and Leeds, they're going to be, obviously, they're the new teams that are going in. So it takes around 6 months for them to put all this together. So obviously they leave gaps for those because they don't know who's going to be promoted and who's going to be relegated. It's a French company called Atos who do it. 380 fixtures, they're going to be worked out. But, oh, no, if you think you just put them all into a machine and they come out... No. Ellie, what happens? Tell me.
They put it into a big computer and the big computer spits out the games, fixtures.
So what could get in the way? What possibly could get in the way?
Well, you have to have a mix of 3 at home and 2 away in 5 games.
Very good. That's one of the main things.
That's good.
And you have to think about the derbies like Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea and Fulham because of the traffic.
That's right, yeah. And that's
we have done this a few times now.
I'm actually right, yeah. And what you can't have 4 and 1. You can't be having 4
home games, away games.
Yeah, you can't have so if it's the 3 and the 2, you couldn't have 4 home games in a row and 1 away. That just will not happen. No side is allowed to begin or end the season with 2 home or 2 away matches.
Paul, somebody said on your site, who can be excited about who plays who in a match months away?
Yeah, Mags, I'm with you.
I'll tell you the answer to that.
Men.
Me? I'm excited about it. And you're quite excited about it. Ellie is just...
Ellie's buzzing.
This is Mags, and I'm with you. Anyway.
OK.
You'll find out the fixtures when they happen, and then you'll go to them.
All right. Well, I do find
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock this morning.
I do find the formulation interesting. I
do as well. And so that all has to go in, and then it's all going to be spat out, and then they will work out. Then there's other stuff they're going to work out is when different games are going to be on because of TV schedules.
Yeah.
So there is one. And by the way, and if you have a look on social media and you see all these leaked ones, I've looked through a lot of them, and I can tell you honestly, a lot of them, most of them, complete rubbish. People make this stuff up. There was one I was looking at just now, because I do know some of these games that are going to happen. I'll be able to tell you at 9 o'clock. But there's a list, and there's someone's got, well, this is the first game, and these are the ones on TV. It's absolute nonsense. They just make it up. So don't believe all the hype.
Yeah.
You right there?
Can we talk about Radaraz?
Yes. OK.
Well, we can talk about anything you like.
No, I'm happy to talk about that. If it gets you in the game, I'm happy to talk about it.
Well, I'm very interested in Radaraz.
OK, now this is the US Open. So what they're doing is separating the doubles from the singles, because often it's like Wimbledon, it's all one big tournament. So there were problems about this, and there were complaints saying, well, it's disrespecting the doubles. It's not like it used to be. Well, it's actually a really good idea, because they're making it a bigger tournament. It's a separate tournament at the US Open. So it'll be from the 19th to the 20th of August. Sorry to get ahead of things again, just like I did with the fixtures. But it will attract more high-profile single players. So you've Emma Raducanu is going to play with Carlos Alcaraz.
Great, love that.
Which is great. I mean, this is great for entertainment. So what are we going to call them?
Alucanu.
Radaraz. I've done it for you.
So Radaraz. So we like Radaraz. We're going to go with Radaraz.
That's it. You can't beat that.
By the way, what a specimen Alcaraz is. You know, they've really, him and Sinner have really upped the game.
I've never heard him called a specimen, but I'm with you on it. He is.
His touch is unbelievable.
So I hear. Incredible.
Oh.
But what a player he is. And Naomi...
Anything else you'd like to say?
Naomi Osaka and Nick Kyrgios. What's that one going to be called?
Osaka.
Austria.
I need a minute.
Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud. These are great names, but it's not guaranteed that they are going to be playing, but they've all entered. Madison Keys, Francis Tiafoe, Jack Draper, Zheng Kunren, and me and Ellie are going to enter as well. It's no guarantee that we are going to play, but we have put the entry.
My money's on you two, I think.
I think so too. What would our name be?
I don't know, but we'll be rubbish. We may be rubbish, but we will be entertaining.
Coitello.
Coitello.
That's a good one.
That's the one. That's the one.
On that bombshell.
At 9 o'clock, yes, we'll have the first Premier League fixtures.
So you'll be back here in the studio 9 o'clock with the fixtures.
On the dot, yes.
I can barely wait.
Can't wait to see how Arsenal gets stitched up.
Thanks, Coity.
Ellie, say what you think, OK?
Yeah, I will.
This is my job here.
I'll have enthusiasm, I promise.
Still to come, we'll see what's making the news headlines with Norman Baker and Claire Muldoon. There they are. What did you call him, Ellie, earlier?
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard. Sorry, Norman. Just kidding. If you're in search for some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The heat wave across Portugal, Spain and France is going to continue to build for the next couple of days. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to high 30s, possibly 40 Celsius for a few places. And with that heat, there's a risk of some hefty showers across Portugal and Spain. Some thundery downpours are possible. A few showers also possible further east, affecting Italy and into Greece and Turkey. But actually, through the outlook period, as we go towards the weekend, it's looking largely sunny for many and staying pretty hot.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points. But all of a sudden, I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any public UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
Think though, Kurt, that posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives, but in December last year, I got to a point of realization where I thought, is it worth it, or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah,
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to GB News Breakfast with Ben and Ellie. We're also joined by Claire Muldoon, the journalist and broadcaster, and former Lib Dem Minister Norman Baker. Welcome back.
Aren't you so lucky?
Indeed.
We are very lucky. You two have been great today.
Thank our lucky stars.
Claire, let's talk about spice, this is the drug spice, in schools.
Yeah, two papers have covered this today, the Times and the Daily Mail, and I think thirdly the Daily Star as well. This is such a sad indictment of our school system, and again, Norman and I were talking about this, about parental responsibility as well. One of the teaching unions, the NASWT, has come out with some really gravely disturbing statistics. There are some children in primary schools taking alcohol and taking cannabis. God. There is such a rise in children taking spice before lessons in high school, dealing it. I remember when I was at high school, I don't want to sound back in the day, it was all rose, it wasn't. There was a couple of lads at the end of our school years, at the end of our age when we were 17, 18, got expelled for drinking alcohol. And that was what it was then. Nothing like kids at age 14 taking cocaine, taking spice, and it's not like the drug of cannabis back in the day, which was like more natural, really.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is synthetic, this is modularised, this is changed.
It's worse than cannabis.
And this is much worse, Ben, you're right. And the effects of it, let's look at the effects this has, not only physicality on the child, but the impact it's having on teachers being able to control the class, being able then to teach the class, and being able to do what they are trained to do and what they're paid to do, teach our children.
It's not their role to deal with this, really. Their role is to teach children. And you've got to ask yourself, with the parents, what on earth are they doing not dealing with this situation? Coming back to the review in the last hour, actually, about how you control and bring up children. I mean, how could it be that you have a primary school child able to access these things and the parents aren't controlling it? I just don't understand. But anyway, it's like your high school is not a very high school, Claire, I'm afraid.
Well, exactly. But, not only that, kids are getting the drugs so easily on Snapchat, on other apps. They can order them up and they can get them delivered like a Deliveroo. And we're living in a time when if you get a Mackey's from Uber or another facility to get your food in from, it will pop up with McDonald's do not order deliver to schools. Do you agree with that before you can go through? And yet these kids have got access to Class A drugs. And that is also the reason why I'm against decriminalisation of cannabis as well. It's a gateway drug. And there's so much to tease out in this and so much to talk about that we just don't have the time, unfortunately.
Norman, were you in government when Dr David Nutt was giving his...
No, he was under Labour in 2008, 2009, but I was a drugs minister and looked into a number of these issues. The issue about cannabis, as you rightly said, Ben, is that cannabis in its pure form is much less harmful than some of these synthetic alternatives. And therefore, the argument for cannabis being decriminalised is partly to drive people towards that and away from some of these nasty substances.
Norman, let's take a look at this case of Harry Dunn.
This is a horrible case, and just to remind viewers and listeners, this was a case where the young lad, Harry Dunn, was knocked over and killed by an American diplomat driving on the wrong side of the road. And then she scarpered out the country. And the reason she scarpered out the country was because the police failed to deal with her properly. The police should have arrested her at that particular point. And instead, this review that's now been carried out, said the police believe the necessity test had not been met to arrest her. Well, she just knocked over and killed a kid. Of course it had been met. And now the Assistant Chief Constable in Northamptonshire has had to apologise and deal with this review. Has got 30 recommendations
What
for her.
impact would her have been a diplomat had on that case? Would she have pled diplomatic immunity on something like that? Was that not part of the reason why she couldn't have been extradited?
Well, she might have done, but the issue is that you don't automatically get excluded. You can't always do that because I think she was married to someone who had diplomatic immunity.
Right.
Whether she did or not is a moot point. But it wasn't ever tested. She's a scarp of the country. She finally pleaded guilty, just for the record, by video link and was given a suspended sentence. Well,
the Assistant Chief Constable of Northamptonshire Police has apologised to the family
that's right.
For the failure to do the very best for them. A report made 38 recommendations. I mean,
it sounds like they did the very least.
Apologies don't really mean anything in those kind of situations.
No, they don't. But the police have to ask themselves how this happened. They really do.
Claire, saying an older colleague is like my gran is harassment. This is in the Mail today.
It's just... Do you not remember the days of newspapers where we had, like, news and briefs, right? This would have been a news and brief. It's not. It's got a half-page blooming bit in one of the dailies today. A young lad who worked in a sandwich shop in London was... chastised by an older female worker, and he said, "What are you talking about? You're behaving. You're treating me as if you're like I'm your grandchild. You're like my grandmother." Well, but this lady really took umbrage to this, took it to a tribunal, and she won.
Poor lad.
So, poor lad, I know. But what a sad indictment on grandmothers. Of which I'm not one, thankfully, just now. I'm not quite right to be one. No. Hopefully I've got another few years left of not being one. I'm only 53. But come on, call people for what they are. I would say that's a lovely thing to be called.
Yeah. Norman, Claire, thanks so much for your company this morning. You've been great. Here's the weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere because, again, in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places, though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night. Some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another warm and sunny day for many as well. Plenty of sunshine on offer yet again, just a bit more clouds still across northern parts as that front continues to edge its way across parts of Scotland, and again a little bit of rain out towards the Western Isles in particular. Temperatures on Thursday likely to be even higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius, but we have even hotter weather to come as we go into the weekend, low possibly mid-30s.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Roslan or Krugog, the A483 southbound is closed for resurfacing work from 8 this evening to 6 tomorrow morning. The A1M southbound entry slip at junction 35 in Doncaster is closed due to a road traffic collision, expected to resolve by 11:03 this morning. On the M6 southbound exit slip at junction 23 in St Helens, there is a broken down vehicle with lane closures expected to clear by 9 this morning. Turning to train disruptions, the Avanti West Coast line between Glasgow Central and Motherwell is facing delays, as well as the Elizabeth line through Slough. Stay up to date with these developments, and for more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The United States is on the brink of joining Israel in the war against Iran.
White House insiders reveal the president could give the go-ahead for American strikes in Iran within hours.
It's after another night of strikes between Israel and Iran.
President Trump issues an ultimatum to Iran: surrender unconditionally or pay the price. And earlier we got the Conservatives' view from Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge.
And if the US, together with Israelis, take the view that that intelligence means the only way to stop it is to take decisive military action, then that's something we would not in principle be opposed to. We do recognise the scale of that threat.
Countries refusing to take back asylum seekers could face sanctions on visas. Here's what the Prime Minister told our very own Christopher Hope.
Looking in a much more smart way at the way we deal with visas, perhaps more transactional, you might say, which is looking at the countries that we have visa arrangements with and asking ourselves, are there enough preventative measures?
Yes, potentially docking visas. A new agreement with France likely to mean police can intercept boats in the water, and the Justice Secretary in Strasbourg calling for reform of the ECHR. Will any of this make a difference?
The G7 summit in Canada wraps up after world leaders forged on despite Donald Trump's early exit.
Breaking news in the past hour, inflation flatlined in May, falling just 0.1% to 3.4% compared to April's 3.5%.
Liam O'Hanna, a member of the controversial Northern Irish band Kneecap, is set to appear in court this morning over terrorism charges.
And we're sitting down with the Traitors finalist at 9:15, who is dishing the dirt on one of the most popular reality shows.
And in sport, well, the Premier League fixtures for next season have been released, with the first game, champions Liverpool playing at home to Bournemouth on Friday the 15th of August.
There's a heatwave building in time for the weekend, but before that, today's looking, well, fine for most of us and very warm too. I'll have more info coming up.
Good morning to you. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
I'm Ben Leo, and this is GB News Breakfast. Good morning to you. Hope you're well. Thanks for your company this morning. Lots of you on your say getting involved in the discussion. Somebody has said it doesn't matter who fronts PMQs for Labour, of course, because the Prime Minister's missing PMQs today.
Yes, he's flying back from Canada, isn't he? So it's Angela Rayner.
And is it raining today?
Yes.
That'd be interesting.
Angela Rayner at PMQs today.
Well, they've said it doesn't matter who fronts PMQs for Labour, they all share one brain cell. So you get the same answers from whoever does it. Yeah, I mean, people would argue against that.
So lots of you talking about PMQs today, and you can watch it here on GB News, don't forget that.
I think the Deputy PM's quite a decent talker, actually, at the dispatch box.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see her versus Kemi Badenoch later on today on GB News. Now let's speak to the government, shall we? The Minister of Housing and Planning, Matthew Pennycook, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Mr. Pennycook. And you're here today to talk about 500,000 new homes. This is your announcement today. But you've also promised to end the use of migrant hotels by 2029. So it does beg the question, who are these houses for? Where are these migrants that you're moving out of hotels going to be housed?
Well, we do need to take forward new sites and accommodation to get people out of hotels. I think your viewers will understand why that needs to happen. Hotel accommodation is incredibly expensive, and we do need to move people out there as those cases are worked through, and we are bringing down the caseload in the system. But when it comes to housing more generally, this is particularly why we've got such an ambitious 1.5 million new homes target as part of our plan for change, because we've got to build, irrespective of levels of immigration. As you know, we've inherited an immigration and asylum system in complete chaos, and we've got to restore order to it. But we've got to build more homes of all tenures, because for too many decades there's been a huge mismatch between supply and demand when it comes to homes to rent and homes to buy.
Sorry, Minister, forgive me. I don't think you quite answered the question there. Will these new homes go to illegal migrants?
No, the Home Office and through contractors like Serco, for example, will take out contracts, so that will in some instances involve private rented sector accommodation. We're going to do that in a slightly different way with local authorities, looking at those locally led solutions. But we do need to move people out of asylum hotels because they are incredibly expensive.
Right, so that's a yes, because there was a Treasury document a few weeks ago doing the rounds from the Office for Value for Money, and it was fairly explicit in there when it said that the asylum hotels would be alleviated and indeed ended by 2029 by literally moving them into the 1.5 million new homes your government wants to build. So that's correct, is it?
No, I don't think. I mean, let's look at...
Well, that's what it says on the Treasury document,
new homes to buy,
Minister.
Do you think new homes to buy that are freshly built are going to go to asylum seekers? No.
Sorry to interject again. That's what it says on the Treasury website, sir.
No, it doesn't. No, it
does.
doesn't.
There's a document called the Office for Value for Money.
Out of asylum.
There's a document, Minister. Sorry to interrupt. Let's just get this clear. There's a Treasury document from the Office for Value for Money.
I've read the document, Ben. Thank you.
Right, and it says the pressure on asylum hotels will be alleviated through the 1.5 million new homes the government wants to build. So is that document wrong?
Well, as I said, we've got to build more homes of all tenures to ensure that we've got supply coming through. That would be the case whatever the state of the asylum system. I've been very clear, I think, in terms of the need to move people out of asylum hotels, which are expensive. In some instances, that will mean, for example, that people are going into the private rented sector. I don't think they're going into new build homes for market sale, which is the point I was trying to make in terms of some of the homes coming forward. But they will go, for example, into the private rented sector in some instances. But that is why we've got to grow the supply of homes of all tenures, homes to buy, homes to rent, affordable social homes. And there was that £39 billion worth of investment in social and affordable housing at the spending review announced, which is going to make a real difference.
Let's stay with the topic of migration, shall we? Because
it would be great to talk about the National Housing Bank.
Yeah, we will ask you about that. Let's just stay on migration because we are on that topic. 17,000 arrivals so far this year. This is the government that promised to smash the gangs. It's actually looking like it's set to be a record-breaking year.
Well, as you know, and I've been on your programme many times and made this point, we inherited an immigration and asylum system in complete chaos. We do need to restore order to it. That was never going to be an overnight fix, because not least because the criminal gangs that are profiteering from human misery are very well entrenched. But you know the steps we're taking. I've spoken on this programme many times before. Our Borders Bill, which is going through the House of Commons right now, will ensure that police and law enforcement agencies have those counter-terrorism style powers. We're making other changes. We've already deported 30,000 people that have got no right to be here, 4,500 foreign national offenders. That's a 14% increase. So we are turning things around, but it was never going to be an overnight fix.
Minister, reports in the Times this morning suggest Shabana Mahmood is on the continent talking about the ECHR. Is that something Labour, this government, is open to, reforming the ECHR to really get a grip of the illegal boat crisis?
Well, we are always in a position where we're keeping the Human Rights Act under review. We've been very clear already, and it was in the immigration white paper we published in the recent period, that we are reviewing Article 8 and how that is applied. The Home Secretary has also made clear that she is reviewing Article 3 of the ECHR and how that applies in particular in foreign extradition cases where the state of a prison overseas is cited as a reason. She is reviewing that.
OK. Let's talk about what you're here to talk to us about today, which is the new National Housing Bank.
Brilliant. It would be great to have a chance to mention that. Alongside £5 billion of new capital funding for housing, we're announcing today our intention to establish a new national housing bank to accelerate house building across the country, not least for the reasons we've just spoken about. This will be a new government-owned public finance institution that will have the autonomy and flexibility to be able to deploy loans, equity and guarantees to get projects moving. That's £16 billion worth of new funding. And because of the way it's constituted and how it will operate, similarly to the National Wealth Fund, it will make a return for government over the lifetime. And it's an important way we'll contribute to house building over the long run. We think that the funding through that £16 billion will enable up to 500,000 homes over the lifetime of the Parliament, but also to that 1.5 million new homes target. We think it will estimate that it will contribute just under 60,000 homes in this Parliament to that 1.5 million target.
Yes, and indeed, £53 billion worth of private investment as well, Minister, towards that. Can you tell me, please, how many new homes the government has built since taking power?
Well, we've got figures only for the last year of full figures I've got, for example, 2023-24, indicates that just under 221,000 homes have been built. I expect the 24-25 figures when they're released to show rates that are similarly not where we need them to be. But that is because we've inherited from the previous government a series of anti-supply changes, and they will take time to work through in terms of the statistics. So we are turning things around. I fully expect in terms of, for example, planning applications coming forward to see a very sharp uptick in later months of this year and going into next year. So the reforms will take time time to feed through into the statistics. But we are turning the situation around. We are going to meet that 1.5 million plan for change new homes target.
OK, Matthew Pennycook, we're out of time with you, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for chatting with us this morning.
Thank you, Minister.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let's get reaction from GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster, who joins us live now from Westminster. Catherine, did you listen to that conversation? What's your take? I was particularly interested in the sort of, I'd argue, diplomatically skirting around the fact that illegal boat migrants, will be going into some of these 1.5 million new homes when the sale, since we've heard it from the Prime Minister especially, has been these are homes for British people.
Yes, it was interesting that now clearly the government's, got its work cut out to build these 1.5 million new homes. It's not clear from the funding from Rachel Reeves whether that's even achievable. But yes, as you say, this pledge to end using hotels for asylum seekers by 2029, where are these people going to go? Because you notice that the government, despite the rhetoric of smash the gangs, are not saying we're going to have stopped this. There won't be people coming across on small boats by 2029, and we'll still, we'll have eliminated the backlog. I thought it was interesting when he said, when you really pushed him, Ben, that some of the people will go into the private rental sector in some cases. I think what he was trying to say was that they wouldn't go into some of these new homes, but it is clear that if they're not in hotels, they're going to be somewhere else. So potential private rented accommodation, that's something that we know the government is already looking into and trying to get for asylum seekers. And the bill is huge, isn't it? And meanwhile, for all the pledges that the government make, we now know that over 17,000 people have crossed the Channel on small boats this year. That's up, I think, 47% on this time last year. So Shabana Mahmood in Strasbourg today talking about the need to reform the ECHR. We're trying to get a better deal with the French, but my goodness, they've got their work cut out.
They certainly do. Catherine Forster there for us in Westminster. Thank you very much.
OK, it's the moment you've all been waiting for at home. The fixture list for the upcoming Premier League season has been revealed, and Paul Coyte is here with the details. Any surprises, Paul?
Well, there's some excitement. Friday, August the 15th, everything gets underway. Liverpool, the champions, will be playing at Anfield against Bournemouth. So that's an 8 o'clock kickoff on the Friday, and then the weekend kicks in. And I thought it would be good to go through some of the promoted sides who have just gone up to the Premier League then for the first time. Those games are then for Sunderland are going to be playing West Ham, so Sunderland at home to West Ham. There's Burnley going to be playing away at Spurs.
Look at that Arsenal one.
There we are. And Manchester United versus Arsenal. That's obviously not promoted sides, obviously. But that's another doozy, which is going to be on Sunday the 17th of August. A few other that I've spotted. Saturday, November 22nd. Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh.
First derby that we'll be at together.
Hang on a minute. So I was right, was I? Arsenal have been stitched up, starting away to United and then Spurs.
Stitched up? Do you think so?
Well, starting with Man United and then to Spurs.
No, Spurs is not until November. That's not till November 22nd.
Sorry, I thought you said the following week.
Home, Spurs versus Arsenal, February 21st, 18th of October, Liverpool, Man United, and then the reverse fixture is on the 2nd of May. So in all then, Villa versus Newcastle, Brighton, Fulham, Forest versus Brentford, Sunderland versus West Ham, Spurs, Burnley, Wolves versus Man City, and then on the Sunday it's Chelsea, Palace, and then Manchester United, Arsenal, which is on the TV, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday, 17th of August.
Lovely.
Good stuff. Thanks,
excited.
Katie.
You're excited, Ellie?
Excited. Well, I'm glad you two are excited.
Plenty of time. There's plenty of time to be excited.
I'll get on board. I'm quite enjoying the break, to be honest.
I think you know what?
I'll be with you in August.
I think we're all enjoying the break, but by the time August comes round, we'll be ready for it again.
We'll be ready for it.
Does your fella like football?
He does.
Who does he support?
Spurs.
Oh, you're Spurs fan?
Yeah.
Are you Spurs fan?
He's a big Coyte fan as well.
Oh.
Coyte's a celeb, which we all forget, and then we go to Spurs, and it's like, oh my gosh, they go mad for Coyte. How long were you taking selfies for in Bilbao? 2 hours? 3 hours?
Yeah, but they were very slow taking pictures.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's how much they love him.
Wouldn't get the same reception at the Emirates, I'd argue.
That's true.
Thanks, Coyte.
I'd get a reception, it maybe just not be quite so friendly.
Might not be as warm.
I'll be leading it.
I know you will be.
It's a rivalry going on in this studio today.
Right, we're counting down to your best summer so far. £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. It's the biggest cash giveaway of ours to date, and it could be yours at home. Here's all the details you need.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, good luck to you. Still to come, from reality TV to the silver screen, Traitors finalist Kieran Thompson. There he is. Good morning, Kieran. Sits down with us. Next, I'm going to look forward to this. This is GB News Breakfast with Ben and Ellie.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Okwir, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, many people who go on reality TV have the goal of making it onto the silver screen, but few actually achieve it.
Yes, Traitors finalist Kieran Thompson has managed to break the mould and take steps into the movie industry by appearing in the new F1 movie, which is right down my street, starring Brad Pitt, which will be in cinemas next week.
Oh, we're now joined by Kieran in the studio. Good to see you, Kieran.
Good morning.
And this is incredible. So you've moved into acting and you're now working with Brad Pitt.
Yes, I've had quite a astonishing couple of years, to be fair. After the show, it was a bit of a whirlwind. You can't do reality and do acting, so I went off to drama school. Actually, what was drama school? Kingdom Drama School for a year and a half, 5 hours on a Sunday, trained, done all my craft, learnt what I had to do. And then I've been very lucky over the last year and a half. I've met Pedro Pascal on the Fantastic Four, Brad Pitt, who looks amazing, by the way, at 62 years of age.
What do we think about the outfits at the weekend?
I wouldn't wear them, no.
It's a bit funky, isn't it?
But I think you could pull them off. But, yeah, each to their own, I'd say. But, yeah, I definitely won't be able to pull them off.
What was it like working on the F1 movie?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Yeah, massive. We was at Silverstone for the day, so I met Brad, Javier Bardem. Yeah, quite a surreal experience from being just a normal person and obviously doing reality and then, yeah, meeting Brad Pitt and then Pedro Pascal on Fantastic Four. I had the pleasure of meeting as well. Wow. And then most recently, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, so... I've been busy. You have been busy. Did you always want to be an actor, or was it the exposure to telly through the Traitors? Yeah, life passes you. I'm a solution consultant by skill set, by trade. I went in the Traitors, and it gave me such an opportunity to sort of infiltrate different circles, etc. But you can't just wing stuff. You've got to have your basis. So I always wanted to do acting, but life sometimes passes you by. But I've reversed engineered it and come in life.
So just remind us, on Traitors, it was season 1, right?
Yep.
Were you a traitor or a faithful?
I was both. So I started as a faithful. I got thrown out 6 minutes into the show.
I remember that.
Yeah, horrific. 6 minutes in, was hidden away and then brought back in episode 5. Made it all the way to episode 10. Then I was forced to be a traitor, and then I ended the show.
So I guess as a traitor, you were already acting then,
yeah,
that's a good point.
It was a great in, basically. I'm used to sort of, lying, deceiving, pretending to be someone else, so it was quite a good, a route into acting, but on the nicer side of things, so... And you were on the series 1 of the show, so you were one of the original cast members. We are. Did you know at the time that it was something special? Because it's a huge show now. Yeah, I mean, we were the guinea pigs, so to speak. We didn't really know what it would be like, but filming the show very, very, very quickly, especially when I got thrown out at the beginning and coming back, it felt special because of the drama, the twist, the turns, the characters. I mean, obviously, it's the biggest show on TV right now. In 24 countries. We're on season 4 at the moment, so a celebrity one is due to come out in a couple of months. So, yeah, it's gone through the roof.
And just tell us, Kieran, what's in the future? Any castings up your sleeve? Any plans?
I've got my first film will be out, Damaged Goods, in September, and He-Man will be out next year, and I'm working on a couple of things at the moment. So, yeah, got some really exciting stuff going on, from just normal person to meeting superstars. Busy man. Yeah, it's been a dream come true. Good stuff. Well, good luck with it all. Thank you so much. I appreciate having me on, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Britain's Newsroom is coming up at 9:30. Andrew Pearce and Bev Turner are here to tell us all about it. Morning, you two.
Morning. Time for you yet, Ben. You could be the next James Bond.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that.
You'd rather be in the F1
film.
I can see that.
I can see that too. And we've got the ultimate Bond girl, of course, next to him as well.
What a combo.
Maybe Ellie could be James Bond. Maybe we can have a female James Bond.
Oh, how very well.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, guys?
I don't want a female James Bond.
No.
You've got 5 seconds. What's the show?
Talk about your show.
Scotland dumping their rubbish in our country. Why? Big story.
Yeah. Why is that happening? We're going to be having hundreds of bags of Scottish rubbish hit that and a lot more after your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a very warm and sunny day again for most of us, but not quite everywhere, because again in the north there's a bit more cloud and a little bit of rain at times. Nothing especially heavy, but just a few showery bursts here and there. For most places though, like I said, a decent dry day, lots of blue sky on offer, just a little bit more cloud perhaps across parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent at times, but even here some decent bright sunny breaks through the day as well. With some decent sunshine on offer, temperatures are rising, mid to high 20s quite likely, so feeling very warm if not hot for most places, just a bit fresher towards the north. Then as we go through this evening, we have a bit more cloud across Northern Ireland to end the day, and that's because there's a weak front pushing through. That's going to feed into Scotland as we go through this evening and overnight. So a bit of rain out towards the western parts of Scotland. Further east, staying drier, but a few showery bursts can't be ruled out. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, mostly dry once that front has pushed through, and even as it does, it's not going to bring a huge amount of rain. And then across the bulk of England and Wales, a dry end to the day with lots of late sunshine as well. Overnight, like I said, that front does push its way into some western parts of Scotland, bringing some drizzly rain at times. Elsewhere, whilst there will be some cloud here and there, most places staying dry, most places having clear skies, but it is going to be another relatively warm night. Some places holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So pretty warm start to the day tomorrow, and it is going to be another